I'll say it, dude. Berserk is the greatest story ever told. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Volume 1, the Anime and Manga Podcast, where we review the first volume of a brand new manga each week. But today, we're back to Berserk, baby! And my name is Josh the Magi Michaels. And today, as always, I am joined by...
Megan Shirke Perine.
Okay, a little bit of a stretch, but I like it.
Cody Windsprite Decker.
Love it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Volume 1 today. It feels so good to be returning home.
Yes,
We're back.
We're back.
Today we're covering the Millenium Falcon Arc, specifically the sub-arc within it, the Holy Evil War, volumes 22 through 24. Man, before we start going through the events of these volumes, I just want to talk to you guys and see how you felt about coming back to this, because for me, it was so refreshing. I'll let you guys go first because I have a lot to say. How was it coming back to this for you guys? It was amazing.
It was amazing. I literally been like itching at my skin to keep reading Berserk, and I finally got into it. And it's just so good. It's like, did the art just get better? Like before, like a blink of an eye, like just like, oh, we were doing it and now we're doing this. What the It's so amazing how much has changed, and like the story continues to surprise me, and I'm going to get emotional because something happens in this. We'll talk about it, but it's a lot. And it was a lot. It was just, I can't put into words because it's so overwhelming.
Well, Megan, I hate to break it to you, but you're gonna have to.
I know it was really good. I was very excited to keep reading, and when we stopped in the volume 24, I was disappointed that I couldn't keep reading.
Well, I mean, we're gonna definitely be jumping back into it again very, very soon. Cody, how did you feel?
I really feel like stopping reading for a while. I feel like we did leave on a good note of like
perfect, yeah.
And then you let it all sit, and then because it does feel like, and now the next part of this like journey happens. I remember people saying, "Oh, the Millennium Falcon Arc is the best," and I'm feeling like it really. There was a part where I noticed we went like, "Oh, I'm completely in on this story now."
Yeah, man. I don't mean to cut you off, but
that's fine. I was just
you were just I
was done.
Okay.
You were just
I hope so, because I'm going to talk now.
Yeah, and then there was a lot of moments. There was one moment where like, oh, I hope this happens, and it does. I finished reading at like, maybe 1 a.m, but I like jumped out of bed, and I was like, oh, it's actually happening. I got like really excited. There was so many like fun moments for like a story to happen that I really enjoyed.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was similar to what you guys are saying. It was so nice coming back after so long. We picked up at volume 22 and things immediately start moving. I mean, I am so glad. As much as I was a fan of the like war and the medieval sort of feel that, all the previous arcs sort of had, it was so nice to finally sort of almost in a way ditch a lot of that and move more towards the magical and the fantasy. People always talk about the Golden Age arc being one of the best arcs, and it is fantastic. It is definitely up there.
As far as an emotional origin story?
Yes. But I think I read these volumes faster than I've ever read any other volumes of Berserk. I blew through it. This is my kind of story. I mean, we're bringing in magic. We're bringing in realms. We're getting to know like secrets that have been hinted at, people and their origins. I mean, it's expanding in a far more fantastical sort of way. And I mean, I couldn't be happier. I think what you're saying is correct too. Like just coming back to it after all the other things we've been reading, I felt like I was home again. And like you said too, the art, everything, man.
Yeah. I mean, there's like a load up scene that happens where like everyone's getting gear. I was just like, oh, this is exactly what I want to happen. Like getting like, and this is this, and that means this. I'm like, yeah, keep going. Like I didn't skip any exposition. I was like, they were just like, and here's how this works. I'm like, yeah. What are you gonna do with that? And then you see them do it.
I almost like when we do like these extended sort of deeper dives, I almost sort of like break it up, and I like to read them in sections. But with this, I almost read all these volumes straight through at once because I couldn't put it down. I couldn't stop myself from, like you said, like discovering things and seeing things change and characters finally like evolve and teams form. I mean, I'm a sucker for a team coming together.
And the way it was done.
Yeah. And we've talked about it too before. Like me and Cody have had conversations about how as much as we love a hero team, Like we love a really good villain team, like a really good, interesting group of villains that are coming together. And this had everything. This hit every note for me. I've talked in previous episodes about how sometimes the war scenes dragged on. But this never stopped moving. Even in the quiet moments or these like expository moments, like it was full of such information that I was drooling, dude. I loved it.
It really helped that I just played Dark Souls before I like sat down and read all of it, because that game's like heavily inspired by Berserk. So like every time there was a fight, I'm like, oh, I know exactly how this is supposed to sound like.
Yeah. There are some heavy emotional moments. There's one I think specifically that I think you're talking about.
It was like, I saw this meme and it was like a villain with a redemption arc and everyone's like sad. And then it's like protagonist with a corruption arc and they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is exactly it.
Yeah.
I don't want any more. It's going to get worse.
Oh, it's going to get worse, you think?
That was the worst thing we'll talk about. I was like, I had to stop. I had to walk outside, take a breath of air. Like, this is my man's, like, this is my life.
I'm sorry you had to go through that.
What the fuck?
Also,
Mira, what the fuck?
I know. Also, like, it is another reason why I'm just like so excited to kind of go through all of this is because like we're a lot closer to the end than I thought we were.
Which is
and that's
sad
but also exciting at the same time because like I gotta know how this ends. You know, as much as I enjoy One Piece, and I know that I enjoy it more than somebody sitting across from me wearing a red shirt right now and glasses.
This was like reading this, I'm like, oh yeah, I enjoy this much more. I appreciate it more after reading stories that I'm not that into, that aren't like for me specifically.
You'll know what our final decision is as the weeks unfold, but part of me was like, let's just do Berserk again next week.
Well, I think they're...
Should we?
I mean,
they've been waiting long enough.
I know, people have been waiting a
and
long
I've
time.
been waiting long enough.
Same.
Well, we kind of went down a whole thing like, well, we'll do one episode of One Piece. Oh, it did good. We'll do a volume done. And we'll finish the arc. And we'll do a raffle. Oh, it won the raffle by one. All right, well...
Yeah.
So that was about a month and a half of One Piece. And
so what if we want to do another Berserk episode after this one?
We're going to go Berserk with the shit, dude.
Berserk with this shit all day, every day.
We've used that joke so many times in these episodes.
Yeah.
It never gets old.
Okay, so let's go through it now. Now I think we've shared our excitement, and where we last left off was really right after the conviction arc ended on Griffith being awoken or reborn in the physical world from the egg of the perfect world, and then the fetus of Guts Jr. became a part of him, and we had a bunch of theories and a bunch of questions, and not that those get like explicitly answered, but we do start to get a lot of like insight into what might end up happening. The way Griffith is sort of seeming to be tied to this person.
He even says it, right?
He feels differently because baby Guts Jr. is like, he's merged with it.
Yeah,
so he still has the protective instinct.
Yeah, he goes, why do I feel these things? It must have been the memories and the emotions from this fetus. And I'm like, no, he just said it. It is true. He's gone. Guts Jr. is gone.
Yeah, when we get there, he says a faint, he's like, I feel a faint heartbeat. My blood should be frozen. But
I'm pissed.
I'm
pissed.
Yeah,
I'm not pissed, dude, because
I was also like really impressed by how quickly a confrontation happens.
Me too.
I was like, okay, so like at the end of this arc,
same. And I don't know what you just said that reminded me of it, but Mira has always been a great writer. Something about this arc, and maybe it's because we've been reading other things that are more that are a little lighter in tone. Something about the writing. I felt like I was reading poetry. Dude.
It was amazing.
It was so beautiful. I was writing on every word. I mean, I was transported. I mean, it's the kind of writing that makes me want to walk around and just talk like that and just be that guy. You know, I mean,
it's amazing. It's just, that's why I said, like, just even compared to the last volume that we read to like volume 22, it's just like, it's like night and day. Like, it's so insane. Like the feel of it. And, you know, the way the story's moving along and then the writing and the art is changed. Like, it's just phenomenal. Like, it's just continuously getting better and better. Like, the story.
It's the greatest story ever told, and I stand by that.
It has to be.
And that's why it was my number one in our manga ranking video.
It was number 2 for me.
And it's only becoming, it's only becoming more and more reinforced as the number one greatest manga series story ever told. But so we pick up with these kids in the forest, and I'm a sucker for a third person sort of perspective, right? So these kids are in the forest, and they're talking about this forest that they've been going to since they were kids, and how it feels different now because we're in an age of darkness, an age of maybe the ethereal world is starting to cross over into the physical.
Maybe an eclipse has happened, and maybe a faux eclipse.
Maybe that happened as well. And
I do like the idea of like having the story take place from the perspective of a normal person for a second. Yeah. And just showing like what this all looks like to the outside world. Because as that gets explored more and more, like there was an interesting moral thing moral dilemma that I think it's bringing up that I thought was really interesting.
Would it be okay to talk about it now, or do you want to save it for later?
We'll save it when it comes up.
So these kids are in the forest and they're saying that everything feels weird, feels different. And then they look up in the sky and they see, Zod and Griffith like flying over them. And I'm a sucker for that too, because, when the camera's so zoomed in on our protagonist and all these crazy things are happening to them, everything becomes very normal. But then you forget that this is a world full of people outside of this. And when you see them react to it, it almost adds so much more weight to it. And it almost makes it feel like you're them looking at this like amazing, magnificent, otherworldly thing and how strange that must be and feel. But it was a great way to set the tone. Very similar to the Lost Children arc, how it started on like the note of almost like a dark fairy tale.
Yeah. This is like the beginning of an epic.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, because it kind of is like all the things that like go bump in the night like are coming out and are available for human eyes to see.
In your closet, in your bed.
Yeah, in your closet, in your bed, in your shed, or on your head.
Oh, Dr. Seuss over here. Huh?
Yeah, watch out. Dude,
you actually do. You could if you said you were a Dr. Seuss character.
Is that why your hair's green? Green eggs and ham.
Oh, I've always wanted to have those, dude. Those sound delicious. What the fuck?
But then we get the reunion that we've all been waiting for. Guts, Casca, and I think just the two of them return to Erica and Rickard.
I think the one downside of like taking breaks is I become unclear on how much time is passing for them in the story because I'm like, oh, it's like winter.
Yeah, but I also think that the laws of nature. Do you get the sense that they might be a little? They're not as seasonal, maybe. And I don't mean to compare this to Game of Thrones necessarily, but the seasons were very dependent on sort of like things that were the events that were happening within the world.
I feel like I remember someone mentioning that like the rules of nature are being altered on like some level.
Mm-hmm. I think I did get that sense as well, but
because it's like snowing and then it's not. But I don't know if like there was a time skip that I just have forgotten because I did a time skip on reading it.
Yeah, but it's the reunion that we were all dying to see. And it's a beautiful moment because they're all reunited. Obviously, Godo's dead, and Erica is by his grave, and she's kind of, just like crying and visiting him. And that's when they arrive. Rickard is not with her, though. So they have this like reunion, and they're just like talking about, how, Guts isn't really telling her much about what happened, but that he was able to get her and that they're back now and that he's not leaving her and he's not going anywhere.
I know. She's like, why don't you just stay here now?
Yeah.
Like, just you have everything you need. Like, stay here. We're going to fix up the mine. Like, just stay here. It's going to be all good. And he's like, you know what? Maybe. And it's like, yes, finally, Guts, Jesus. Just stay put for 1 second.
But he's also a little tormented, right? And this is also like the beauty of Guts' character and making him feel so human is that he's also saying like, he's like, of all the times for me to make that promise and to be okay with that, it's almost like I've told the universe that I've given up on this quest for vengeance and I'm going to be by the people and take care of the people that I care about the most. Right when he sort of made that choice, the one thing that would keep him away from that, like appears in like arm's reach.
Which I was like really like caught me off guard because I assumed that was like, okay, so he's going to meet up with Griffith at the end of this arc.
I thought it was going to be
he immediately shows up and meets him.
And then the way that Erica says it too, like he's like, "Where's Rickard?" And he's like, or she's like, "He's with an old friend that he said he used to know from battle." Yada yada yada. And then you're like, "No way, this soon?"
And he's
someone
like
survived the eclipse.
Yeah, he's beautiful. He's like so beautiful. I didn't know if it was a man. And then Guts's face is just like.
And then he starts booking it.
No.
And what's so like disrespectful about the whole thing is like that is like the Hawk's graveyard.
Yeah, and he's just fucking stewing
And he's
on
just
it,
standing there
little
he didn't have anything to do. Like he wasn't the reason that all of those people died.
like a fucking little pigeon bitch.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
a pigeon bitch. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was a villain power move to show up where you cut, and he's like, I don't feel bad about anything. By the way.
yeah.
I didn't come here to apologize or ask for
No.
permission. I just wanted to make sure I don't care, and I don't.
In the
Yeah.
graveyard of the Hawks, dude. Crazy.
And Rickard is just a sweet, innocent. Like, he's like, I've tried to ask Guts what happened. He wouldn't tell me. I'm glad you're back. Like, he has no idea that this man was responsible for all of his friends getting fucking slaughtered.
Mhm.
And for what happened to Casca. And what happened to Guts. Like, it's so insane. He just has no idea.
Yeah, and I kind of forgot about that. Not forgot about the events, but forgot that Rickard had no idea.
Because
still
Guts
doesn't know.
tries to charge at him, and Rickard's like, you can't attack him. What are you going crazy? He's,
Yeah.
he's our leader. He just disappeared after 3 years mysteriously, and he's back.
And even Griffith, says like, I came here to see if I would feel anything or if I, and like you said, he's like, I don't feel anything. And he's like, also, nothing's changed for me. Like, I told you I wanted a kingdom and I'm going to get a kingdom. And it's just like, I mean, wow.
Ice cold.
Ice cold. Yeah.
Damn.
Ice cold. Another one of my, look, I know he's a bad guy, but I don't know what it is about this character that does it for me. But Griffith has a bodyguard that we're obviously aware of because he that's how he got there.
Oh, yeah.
But when Guts goes to attack Griffith, Zod steps in. And I'm more of a fan of like transformed Zod, by the way. Not Beastly Zod.
No, Beastly
the
Zod is
normal
gross.
Zod looks more disturbing than the monster Zod.
Yeah.
Monster Zod looks awesome.
He does look very cool.
Yeah.
And he looks natural, So
Yeah.
the human one looks so inhuman that it looks scary.
But it's like Uncanny Valley kind
Yeah.
of a little bit. They get in a huge fight. And this fight I thought was really cool. But I think the biggest takeaway from it was that the cave, Zod destroys the cave that they were going to stay in.
Yeah.
And what's also interesting about this fight too is that Guts is able, like before Zod's transformation and even a little after, he is almost on equal footing with him.
It's a nice progression for a character's fighting skills where, it's a classic video game thing of, oh, that boss is now a mini boss.
Because we saw him the first time they ever met and how much he was struggling. He couldn't even get one.
They
swing
both
in.
were losing against him.
Yeah.
Yeah, two people were losing
Yeah.
against him. And now Guts is almost like forcing Zod to have to transform.
And the other thing too, like fucking Griffith is just like, okay, Zod, we're leaving. And snaps his fingers and then Zod's like, okay. Like
Yeah, it was
to do that to Zod, like fucking Zod, the one that was trying to fight the other god, like he's doing that shit. Like,
Well, I mean, Griffith is part of the God.
I
now.
know, and it just is crazy to see that dynamic, like, and how it's changed, and just like beck and call, like, let's go, just, and he's like, he drops everything, just, oh, it's so crazy, it's so good.
Griffith also did like one really like insidious thing that like, and he was like, oh, it's because the fetus that I absorbed like still has like these like emotional connections to Casca when he saves her from. And there was like this really like interesting emotional thing that Guts went through where it's like he wouldn't have made it in time to save her. Guts saves her and like looks him in the eye when he rescues her and she's like fine with it. And you're like, yeah, that's a really
Yeah, I forgot
bad-
about that.
No, it's a 100% like as fantastical as the story is. It's a very relatable feeling.
of like not good enough.
Like this other person who I mean it stems from like I think jealousy, a lot of jealousy and a lot of insecurity and a lot of like,
Which I think gets explored with Guts's like visions.
and also like as a reader when that happened, as Josh, I was like, Griffith, you get your hands off of her. Get your hands off of her.
And the fact that she's like trying to like go out of her way to see him and like touching his face and like crying and like,
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It is like for Guts, you're like, oh man, I'm sorry.
I empathize with him so much. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, like, not to get like too sad about it, but I mean, it's that thing, right? Of like being any guy, I guess, or any girl who has someone that they are vying for their attention. To see that attention be given to somebody else, like
Who's
over and over,
actively hurt them in the past.
Exactly.
There is this sense of like helplessness of like, but they're the bad guy.
But they're bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
It was a really interesting emotion that was explored in that part. And then Griffith is like, oh, I guess the baby made me care. Anyway, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And Guts is just like, I have to go. do that now.
Yeah, I mean, he snaps his fingers like Megan said too, and then they just hightail it out of there. Another interesting thing though is that Guts ends up deciding to tell Rickard everything. The interesting thing being that like Griffith is on his way out telling Rickard like, look, Guts is probably going to tell you everything after I get out of here.
And when you find out if you're still cool with me,
yeah.
you can. The job is still open.
Yeah.
Give me a ring, dude.
You are gonna hear some things about me.
Yeah.
It was a very divorce conversation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear some things,
But if you still want to
they
come
are
live
true.
with Dad,
If you
then,
doors always open.
Griffith is definitely mom.
Yes.
he's mommy.
Yeah, mommy.
I also
Little
like
mommy.
that during the fight, Rickard is just narrating. It just reminded me of Ario Speedwagon.
Yeah.
Where he's
Yeah.
watching the fight, and he's
Yeah.
just like, oh, and then he like blocked the dagger with his sword, and then he's like, and then the Zod. He's just narrating exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool though.
Yeah.
It was just interesting how like he still doesn't even know what the stakes are.
No, not at all. I mean, when you think about it, he was in the forest and he did see the one of the fairies that or the elves that we
Elves,
saw from
yeah.
the conviction arc. He did see them, but I mean the scale of it all, I don't think he's very aware of.
He's not aware that like the fate of the world could be happening right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And also Griffith did some things that we're going to talk about later.
Yeah. And when Guts explains it to Rickard, I think Rickard hears it and is upset about it and wants to do something. But Guts ultimately tells him, like, look, we don't have a place to stay anymore, me and Casca. And we're double branded. And
Double branded.
we saw what that did during the conviction arc.
Yeah.
And he's like, number one, we can't stay here. And number two, I mean, if you go with us, we're going to be in double the amount of danger, double the amount of like monsters and stuff. And I don't want to put Erica, double the trouble. I don't want to put Erica through that. And I don't want to put you through that either. So I think you're best served like staying here and taking care of her. And I don't think Rickard's very happy, but I think he also does understand that is just kind of what he has to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Guts and Casca decide that they're going to set off on their journey.
On an elf road trip.
Yeah, because I think it's Puck who tells them that she or he is Puck is sort of an androgynous character to me. Puck, I think,
they.
They. I think they say that they can go to his home world and they'll be safe, which we also learn a lot about what that place could be and where that place could be. And that is just, I mean, I loved this arc or the beginning of this.
Yeah.
I do like that now there is like at least for now, a clear like end goal to their like objective here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a vague concept of like it's like we need to get there and then we'll be safe. I'm sure stuff will happen like once they actually get there or if they do at all. But it's nice that now I know like, we want to do this. And that's why the story's going to happen now.
Yeah, then we kind of cut back to the cushions a little bit. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. Couldn't give a shit about them.
I keep forgetting they exist.
Yeah.
I know. And it's like, those are cool fights. That's cool. But I didn't really care until Griffith came in the picture.
Not at all.
And then I was like, okay.
Even the Bakiraka, like as cool as he is, and his gang is. Or
there was
whatever.
kind of a goofy moment that happened that I don't know like if it was because of magic, but like right after they get a cool moment, they kind of get a moment where like, what?
Yeah.
Where they're like, because I did think the interesting part was they use like slave warriors, and they talk about the logistics of it. Like, yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, we saw it a little bit in now and then here and there.
Now and then here and there.
Yeah.
And
using like child, war prisoners.
Yeah, and like they talk over the logistics. I mean, he's like yelling it across the battlefield, but he is just like, yeah, I mean, like we don't actually lose anyone. We conquer a fight, we make them fight for us. If they die, we didn't actually lose any soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a foolproof method we've got here.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, the king is like talking to the Baki and his
the
crew.
Bakiraka guys.
The Baki Rockers.
Baki Rockers, yeah.
Baki Rockers.
I was
It was
second
my
behind.
joke, and I thought of it completely.
I was a second behind.
Oh.
Yeah. I lasted a second longer than you did.
Oh.
In the words of Vin Diesel, winning's winning.
Oh. And also
Family.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, you guys aren't useful, and like, also you're slaves, by the way.
Mhm.
And then he's like, wait, what? And he catches an arrow.
Yeah.
And he stops,
Saves him.
and I'm like, oh man, you like, if you're a slave, you should have let him kill him.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, but they're trying to prove their loyalty because they're after Griffith too.
Yeah.
They saw him be
Sorry
reborn.
for Bakiraka.
Okay, all right.
What?
Just go with it, dude.
Is that a song?
LMFAO? Party
No.
rocking. Sorry for party rock. You guys suck.
I'm
That was a
I'm going to
solid-
blow your mind right now. I don't know about dance music.
It's party rocking LMFAO.
I know the song, like party rocking in the house. I know the song.
Sorry, that's how it starts.
Well,
Sorry for party,
Well,
Baki rock.
You got the tune completely wrong. That's not on
I
us.
mean,
What? That was. I'm talking about the beginning. I'm talking about the
she's
beginning.
talking about the least popular part of the song.
Oh,
Oh.
my god.
So she was singing it correctly.
You guys will know, huh?
Yeah. They'll
Let
know.
me know if you knew that
They'll know.
solid bit.
They'll back
Bellet
you up.
rocking in the house.
They're already coming after me in the comments to your defense.
About what? About the.
About the whole One Piece.
Well, you were
thing.
wrong.
Oh, that
You
was
wronged her.
insane. That was actually insane.
But
we
people
don't have
can-
to get into it now.
We're not gonna
but
get
that
into
was
it
People
right
can
now.
find
actually
about that in
insane.
the One Piece episode.
go check it
go
out.
check it out.
But then, like, so they have that, like, cool moment, right? But then Griffith just, like, walks by them, and they're like, our only objective is to find Griffith. And Griffith just walks by, and he just goes, huh?
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
all right, well, I guess that
But
kind of really
I-
I also started to think he has, like, a magic glamour around him.
No, he does.
does.
And they explain. They say that at a certain point
Oh.
later. But I loved that, dude, because at a certain point I was like, I don't want to, find out more about the cushions, dude. I'm over it. And as soon as like it was going to get to that point where they were going to be sent on this mission and there was going to be all these battles, like Griffith just comes in and just wipes them out in the coolest way.
That was the cool
ever.
part about this arc, that as far as I can see, is that it's really just like, all those things that were kind of like dragging on, it's over now. And we're moving on.
But I do think that we needed all that to get to this point.
Because they're conquering and they're enslaving all this. So now you have like all these downtrodden people who need a leader.
Mm-hmm. And we saw that in the conviction arc as well.
The only thing I did like about this part with the cushions is the gore is just like, did it get gorier? Like, this was like a head split in half and it's super detailed and like, it's just so good to see it again, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been pretty damn gory,
and
though.
Griffith uses...
I know, but it just, I was like, oh, again, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we are.
He uses his godlike power to like make it to where the arrows don't hit him.
Yeah, that was interesting.
What I'm seeing now is he's not using all the power he has
Mm-hmm.
because he wants to create this this idea of him.
Yeah.
So it's like you see him like, and it's interesting because he is like, he could just wipe everyone out right now,
Mhm.
but he wants to build himself up. So he like he lets himself show up and get hit, or not hit, but like be attacked.
It's literally, we're seeing sort of the genesis of a deity in more senses than one, I think, because later on, it's told to us why like the Holy See and their existence has sort of caused the magical elements of the earth to sort of dwindle. And I don't know, I think there's some just like that it's tied somehow, that like Griffith is presenting himself to be a god.
Yeah, and you can see him like doing like little tactics and stuff, like when he's like doing public displays, he does not use monsters. He keeps those off in the shadows. And so he presents as like, oh, look, he showed up in the knight in shining armor. And then anyone who gets away, though, they're killed by like horrible demons.
Yeah.
And he still looks as beautiful, like you said, as
I
ever.
know. Everyone's like, this beautiful man is going to save us all.
And then we see a little girl who becomes, during all of this, I think she's just kind of commenting on everything, and she's in chains saying that the Hawk of Light will come. And she's actually, we'll find out later, will become his like right-hand medium. In a sense.
She had a vision of a white hawk, which I didn't. I think like back like earlier, like a bunch of people did.
Everyone did, yeah.
And
everybody in Midland did.
And for her, I don't know if like for her especially, it was a sign that like she has like a psychic connection, like for potential.
And she describes it later as being stronger when she's around Griffith.
Yeah, he's like loaning people his power. Right?
Sure, yeah, definitely.
And I also like the subtle touch of like Zod starts looking a little more like, not as monstrous, but more like he starts looking more heroic.
Like he looks less beastly and more barbaric.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, because Griffith is like trying to like prop everyone up, so he's turning Zod into a guy who's like, no, he's a barbarian. Isn't that cool? He has long flowing hair,
he's got his little like truffle.
Dude, he's wrapping it all in a bow for these motherfuckers.
Oh yeah,
it's insane.
The way that they come in, like one by one by one. I mean, I wrote them all down too as they come in. I mean, first you get Zod who rolls through, right? Then we meet Locust, who comes in, the guy with that's the black hair guy.
Irvin or something?
That's Irvine or Irvine. Yeah. He has, Locust is the one with the long black hair.
Yeah. He's just surrounding himself with beautiful people.
Beautiful men.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you get Roxas, the mask shadowy guy.
Mm-hmm.
So sick. Where are all these like fucking dope ass characters?
Every time one of them showed, I'm like, oh, is that someone who's gonna fight Griffith? And they're like, and we're here to join. I'm like, fuck. Is that guy here to fight Griffith?
Yeah.
And I'm here to join.
We're on his team.
Yeah.
But I love all of their allegiances. Like we find out that like Locust has never really sworn. He's always like sworn his allegiance to different people. He's never stuck with the same person. The Roxas guy is like, I'm gonna kill you one day, but until then, I'll fight for you. So all of them like have their reason for kind of being there, and they're all telling them that an oracle is sending them there. And then the last person we get is called a giant or a naga, who is later revealed to be Grunbeld, the guy in the dragon armor, who has that fucking crazy shield with flames and then blades come out of it.
Yeah, I think naga, that means like lizard man. That's like a fantasy thing. I remember. Yeah.
He's not a lizard man, but he is in lizard, like he's in like a lizard dragon armor.
Yeah. And in this world, he could end up becoming a lizard.
Very true.
Because this is the thing. Like, oh, that guy's the beast.
He's
actually a beast. Oh, pseudo apostle.
Yeah. But I mean, dude, he's got the Avengers of villains, dude, and they're so awesome. I mean, look, and I'm gonna say it right now, dude. I love Guts and the gang. Don't get me wrong. I got a lot of heart. They got a lot of heart, and they got my heart too. But the villains, dude, they're kind of like
they
I
all
don't even
have their
understand how they
thing.
could win.
I don't know.
I think there's no way. It's just gonna be Guts against all of them.
The hero team is really like,
that's what I'm saying.
Good luck, buddy. Because the villain team is like, oh, they're all done. This is everyone already finished. They're training. Everyone's done here.
The hero team is just to take care of Casca.
Oh yeah, dude.
There's
like one like Serpico. And then like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that stuff when it comes up. But yeah, it's like Guts is really like the kid is like doing more.
Yeah. Isidro's carrying a little bit more of his weight. But the way that these guys all come in and have Griffith's back was just so amazing. The pacing, like I said, it just kept it moving. And yeah, we're also shown Griffith's new army, these like shadowy figures that are coming over the hill that we later find out to be like war demons and stuff like that. Then we cut back to Serpico and Farnese, who we haven't seen in a long time. And Serpico and Farnese are in the snow. They're looking for Guts still, and we get a little bit of their backstory.
And you know what's funny? Because I remember we got comments about how like, oh, you guys are gonna like Farnese later, and I was like, no, I won't, and I did.
Come back to that.
I liked her.
I do too. Come back to that though. Table it, Megan. But don't lose the rage. Don't lose it. Because real quick too, also while all that was happening, a mysterious witch who looks a lot like someone who's sitting across from me, almost has like some sort of warg ability, and she's sort of transferred her ethereal form into a bird and is kind of overseeing everything. And then we kind of get her shadowy figure talking to another elf, and then Serpico and Farnese. So you like Farnese now?
Like for the back, even like including their background origin, I still didn't like her. But like after seeing that and then like seeing her like later on, I was kind of like, and then like by the end of where we finished, I was like, I'm on board for her. Her origin did not get me on board for her though. That's what I found interesting, is I was still like, all right, so Serpico is pretty cool.
Serpico's the tits.
Yeah, I don't think that the backstory is supposed to make you like her, because it made me like her even less.
Maybe empathize with her.
Some things that she did were not cute.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's talk about it.
What? Talk about her killing animals?
I mean, look, at that.
That's why I think it was Serpico's like the reason to like get us to understand him.
Yeah, exactly. I like the backstory for Serpico and to see where.
But I think it's telling, right? Like there was one line in there that I think was super telling, and it's after she met Serpico and stuff, and we'll go through it sort of chronologically. But there was one line when she's freaking out about the storm, and then she goes outside and starts like banging on things, and Serpico asks her what she's doing, and she tells him to beat the storm, you have to become the storm, And I think that is really just like her. Like that line is like who she is.
Yeah, so you see like why her personality and her psychosis and how it works.
Her psychosis, that's an important word because I think that's exactly what it is.
Because it is you like
she definitely is mentally ill.
You're not supposed to think like, oh, that explains it and justifies it, but you are supposed to be like, oh, that's like where her mind is and how it works.
Yeah, I think where you're maybe confusing me liking her, I think not with like liking who she is, but I'm definitely I empathize with her.
Like, and it like maybe like at the tail end too, because for a lot of that I was like, okay, so so everyone was wrong about me liking her, and there wasn't an exact point, but like by the end of it, I was like, oh yeah, and Farnese, yeah, everyone's coming.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool, bend a knee for Guts, like of course bend a knee for Guts, like the man, the king, and then Serpico is the same, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And then she cut her hair, and I was like, okay, that's a symbolization of her letting go of her past, and and atoning for her sins. And then we get the backstory, and then it's just like, even after the backstory, I understand, and like I do like her more because she is helping out with Casca. That's mainly the only reason why I'm like, you're okay for now, but I don't really like enjoy her very much. Yet.
Yeah, everything, even including the hair part, that like was not enough for me to be like on board for her.
Yeah.
But just somewhere along the line, I was like, I now like her, and I had to keep reminding myself of all those things that happened.
Yeah.
I think at one point, like if I see her like actually do some damage or like learn how to defend herself or like help someone else in a situation, then maybe I'll be on board for her. But she hasn't really done that yet because she is kind of like useless right now. But we'll see.
So, we want to just talk about Serpico's origin.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and Farnese's their origin, because I forgot that like, oh yeah, he was like really nice to like the kids, and he was always the least like aggressive and prejudiced of the group, and you see why. I'm like, oh, that's like really nice. It wasn't just, and he's the nice one.
No, I mean, we find out that he was from a very young age always very poor and bullied, like a lot of people are, and
for being rich or for being like rich boy.
Well, I mean, I think
he wasn't rich, but like like you think you are.
Yeah, for like thinking he was.
You act proper because his mom kept telling him to act proper,
and his mom is an emaciated,
brutal,
Jesus.
withered, sickly woman.
Very.
Also a little maybe sick in the head. She, is, and she's also, we see that she also has this sort of grasp on Serpico, and she's also just like kind of has him on a tight leash, and she's just she's like overly, I guess not necessarily disciplinary, but she's not a very strong disciplinary figure, but she is always like scolding him and telling him he needs to act more like an aristocrat because he actually comes from royalty. Her father was royalty and had an affair with her, and one day his nobility, he will be given a chance to prove his nobility.
Gotta come back.
Yeah, and that's like messed up too. Like you can't be telling your kid that. Like he was never gonna come back unless he got that opportunity, which was like shot in the dark. Like that wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. And it was like fate.
Really interesting too when he does meet his father.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Oh no, he was never going to visit."
Yeah, no, he goes, "It was pretty underwhelming." Like, oh my god.
But I think that says more about Serpico, and I think in this moment in his young childhood too. I mean, he was forced to grow up way too fast and take care of his mother
and Farnese.
Well, I mean, even before Farnese.
But
he collapses in the snow and Farnese like takes him in, which I did think was like that was the first point. I was like, maybe I am on board for her.
And that's the only cute.
And then you see what she does to him, and you're like, oh, well. No.
Yeah. I literally go, oh, cute Farnese. And I was like, never mind.
Yeah, she was more of a little bitch when she was a kid.
She's always been a Sado. She's just, that's the blood that boils.
Yeah, she burns things and people and animals.
And she burns like one of the maids. She burned one of the maids. And
allegedly,
then, And then he finds out. He's like, oh no, she definitely. In Minecraft. Farnese, did you burn one of the maids in Minecraft again? Yes.
Oh,
Damn it.
Farnese.
Oh, Farnese, you
But
little rascal.
and we also see that like the reason that she's acting out this way is because like her dad is never home, her mom is never home, and
Daddy wasn't there.
Daddy wasn't there,
Daddy
mommy wasn't there
there.
either. So she had a little bit harder than Austin did, and she is acting out, and she wants people to fear her. Like she wants people to like. She doesn't want people to get close to her. She also doesn't have this like. It's impossible for her to get attached to anything. And what is the weirdest thing out of all the things that she did that I kind of connected with the most is this scene where she has this like bunny rabbit plush doll or stuffed animal doll. And it has so much sentimental value to her. And Serpico knows that. And she goes to greet her dad, who's been gone for years. And he pushes her off, gives her no time, doesn't care about her at all. But like almost out of his peripheral notices the doll and how dirty it is. And basically says like, oh, honey, why are you playing with that dirty doll? Like burn that doll and I'll buy you a new one. And the next scene is her burning that doll in the woods. But just like in Serpico's narration saying like that doll meant so like that there was so much sentimental value tied to that doll. Yet for her dad, like something about like her level of like just like
adapting to her parents' upbringing.
Yeah,
As far as
like
being
self
like,
being so
pleasing.
detached.
being like, yeah,
Mhm.
all right, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, she goes. She's like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Like just because like, she was told to do something by her dad.
Anything
she's like,
to
yes,
please him.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I think it's more about. It's not about empathizing with her, but understanding her.
Exactly. And then, Serpico's taking care of her and he's the only one that can really kind of like rein her in a little bit.
Mhm.
She's kind of like being not after the time skip, but even before that, she's kind of roughing him up a little bit, like throwing him off the balcony and stuff.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
She's kind of
throws
roughing
him
him
off
up,
a balcony.
like
Yeah.
throwing him off the balcony.
I mean,
Throwing
that's
him off
just-
a horse. I mean, whipping him. It's the list goes on.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
whipping.
that's
We didn't even
flirting,
touch
you
about
know?
the, well, I'm not gonna argue with you about the whipping part, but the throwing
Yeah.
off the balcony was one
Yeah.
thing over another thing. What do you call this?
I don't know.
Well,
Here we are.
Well,
But
I there was this very sweet moment of her like in the thunderstorm. Right,
Yeah, I
before,
like that.
Right before you see her, like, oh, and then that's why she is this way.
yeah.
But that thing of like, you're just gonna sit here and hold my hand until the thunder. I'm like, oh, very nice, still a child. And she goes, I want to burn everything.
But
Yeah.
even that look in her eye,
Mhm.
there's a vacant look in her eye, and she's like clearly lost her mind a little bit. Around that time too is when we find out that Serpico, because he's been wearing this locket that his mother gave him, the king comes back and sees it, and it's a young him, and so he finds out that Serpico is his son, but tells Serpico like, "Hey, look, man, I already got 3 other kids vying for the crown."
I won't officially recognize you,
Yeah.
but if you keep this quiet.
Yeah.
Which in medieval times, that royal knights were often bastards.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be like we can't officially recognize them because it's also like that would mean that like by our own rules they should go to hell. So that a lot of like, oh wow, that famous knight who just hung around royalty all the time.
That was a bastard.
It was a bastard who was like, well, we'll raise him to be a warrior, I guess.
Yeah, and you still get some of the
I mean,
perks.
you still get them.
you
You
get
used to
perks and
knight.
authority,
Yeah.
just not the title.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what Serpico, which is why
Not
I
the
like
responsibility.
like what happens to him is pretty realistic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also, I like the little glimpse of why he's a good fighter would because he was in charge of defending Farnese's honor
Mhm.
in duels,
Yeah.
and he didn't even want to hurt people. So you can see how he always aims. He would aim for someone's arm,
Yeah.
which is a nice touch. Of, like he's not trying to kill anyone.
Yeah. And then that's the point where you were talking about, Megan, where, he has that moment too, and he realizes, he's like, yeah, dude, it was kind of like I expected it to be this like huge monumental moment. And he's like, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
It didn't really affect him. And I think it's because like, I mean, at that point, I don't think he really was interested in that anymore. And I also think in a weird way, like this life was an escape for him, even though he did, bring money back to his mother. And at one point she had to be sent to an institution or whatever.
Yeah, and he's just
Um,
thinking about her the whole time, and it's just like goes to show, like, I mean, I don't know, his life was bad, but he was with his mom, and now he's in this castle and has a bunch of stuff, but it's like,
Yeah, and I think his mom, always thought that, this is what would happen. This is what he deserved because he was, the son of a noble man, the king, after all. But
The mom being sent to an institution is also something I've seen in a lot of medieval stories where it is just like, oh yeah, and also if she's going out confirming that like,
yes.
so you have that's a classic reason to be institutionalized back
Yes.
then
Yeah.
would be like,
to keep it quiet.
No one can hear, but so just send her away.
Mhm.
But also, I mean, I think she was sent. Her specifically was sent because at a certain point, I mean, she was convinced that Serpico was her husband.
I think that she's
And-
like getting like Alzheimer's
Yeah,
or
for
dementia
sure.
or something,
For
and it's
sure.
like, oh, like you look like him, and now that he's a man, and like if her memory's not all there, it's like, oh, like if she
Yeah.
looks like his father,
Mhm.
Yeah,
would-
which is so sad.
Yeah.
And you know,
I mean,
happens.
I mean, it's kind of like Guts and Casca's relationship because it is kind of like an Alzheimer. Like they don't know who you are. They have no idea why you're there. They're treating you like shit, and you just see this person that you used to see
As a
Somebody
shadow
that you-
of
as a
used to know.
shadow
Yeah.
of a. Oh my god!
somebody.
Is this how the shadow of who you used to be keeps reminding? Oh,
Yeah, that's what Guts had said to Casca.
Oh my
And
god!
speaking of
I wanna
lines,
fucking
by the way.
yeah, there's like guys went through like some like emotional like maturity and
Oh
like,
yeah.
thing, like even where it was like I was kind of the impression that he's not even gonna like pursue her romantically anymore.
I don't know. I don't even know where he's at right now.
Yeah.
We're gonna get there, Megan. Save the tears for when we get there.
that scene.
We need him for the views.
Also she bit him.
yeah, I mean,
Farnese
she
would
would
bite
bite him, but I think this is like after
Yeah.
the time skip now, when we see them in the room in the dungeon, and she's whipping him, and then she's biting him, and
Oh my
she's like sticking
God.
the end of the whip into his old wounds and stuff.
Dude,
And she's like, this one was from
a-
yesterday, and this one was
she's
from
a
last week.
freaky hoe,
Yeah.
dude.
She's a freak.
dude. She's a freak.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Damn.
that's why I started getting on board.
Oh, he likes the freaks.
Yes.
Got it.
And then you get Serpico's big emotional climax in the flashback, which is
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, we're gonna burn a bunch of witches, by the way, or
Yeah.
crazy people, and
Real quick though, too, I did want to mention, speaking of lines and speaking of one more really important moment before the mother scene, is that Serpico ends up taking care of Farnese and becoming like more and more of her like, you know, right hand man over time.
Mhm.
And there's this like beautiful line where he said, you know, he's comparing him and Farnese to like twisted trees and how they're, you know, they're the fruit, the strange fruit that they bear. And then he says a line of like, curious fruit left to be raised by another, but when it is ripe, the one who picks it is often the owner of the forest. What? Am I reading poetry right now, dude? I was transported. And it's also obviously, you know, because the father has left him to, you know, raise this, to raise this fruit or raise this, you know, this tree.
Rotten fruit.
The fruit is given to Serpico, and the fruit in this specific story is Farnese wants to give herself to him and kind of throws herself sexually, physically at him, and he shuts her down.
well, I mean, they're related.
Well, I mean, yeah.
They
Yeah.
have the same blood.
Yeah.
they're
What?
half siblings.
Yeah.
But was that really why he did it, though?
Which is fun. Yeah, we've gone full circle on our feelings about that as society.
Yeah.
is.
Mm.
Yeah. But I just thought it was
I
interesting because he
mean-
says that after that moment, after he shut her down that one time, he said there has never been anything physical or sexual between us at all, ever. Which just makes me think that there's gonna be.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
especially now that she's like changing as a person.
Nah, she's
And then
all
I'm like-
about
and then-
Guts.
I mean, she's a little bit like Guts, yeah, but
She's all about him.
I don't think she's about him that way.
yeah, I didn't get that impression.
Yeah,
I think you're just
you're just
Maybe I'm projecting.
You're for sure.
mayhaps you're seeing something in every character.
She
You're
bent a knee.
imprinting on
She
her.
bent a knee, dude.
Oh, she got down on both knees.
Yeah.
And that's all you needed to see. Huh?
Oh god.
Okay.
Oh god. No.
But yeah, then we get to the mom part, and you know, somehow, you know, we know the Holy See and what they're up to, and that they're a bunch of shady fucks. But yeah, they've taken up the whole group that was in this institution and like burned them at the stakes. His mom is one of them. He can't help but like utter in the moment, like, "Is that my mom?"
Yeah.
He's like mother, and I feel like that's a quick fix of mother of God,
Yeah, mother of God,
motherfucker.
mother, may I get out of here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
but everyone-
mother.
Oh, mother instead of brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone's like, "Is that your mom? If that's your mom, then you're the son of a heretic." And he's like, I'm like, come on, just say, if you say anything else, you can recover from this.
Yeah, just say, "Is that your mom?"
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said mother because I was having sex with yours.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm.
Yeah. Nah, dude, that can't be my mom, dude.
It's like it was Joe. It was Joe. They're like,
Who's
who's
Joe?
Joe? Joe Mama.
And then at the time that would have like destroyed them because no one would ever say.
At the time.
No one said anything.
At the time, they would have took their swords out and just slit their throat.
Yeah.
How funny it was. Yeah. And then she's like looking at him and she's like, my husband, how's our son? And it's just this moment. And Farnese is like, I need you to prove it to me that this isn't your mother.
God.
And we need to do this. And I think they do it together. Like they both have their hand on the sword. And he's like, I think he has this line of, he's like, I don't know what we were running from or what we thought we were getting any closer to. But it's just like he has this beautiful sort of monologue as he's killing her. And he's like, I grew to resent her. And like she was all these things and like, you know, what she was to him. And man, it was really sad.
Yeah, it was super sad. It's very unpleasant, very unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm pro Serpico. I'm kind of disappointed he didn't do much in the rest of this arc.
I mean, he does get a cool little moment.
He gets a moment, but like not much.
Yeah. I think he will.
Yeah, it happened right before he did. And because I was always like, man, I kind of feel like Serpico doesn't even fight anyone anymore. And then, oh, we're done.
It was hard to stop reading, man. After all that, we're back now with Guts and Casca.
And he's fighting everything. He can fight snowmen.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy knows no bounds.
They're fighting like the abominable snowmen.
Yeah.
They're having fun.
Yeah,
dude, they're having fun. Obviously, you know, they're both branded, so they're both, you know, they're gonna have a harder time being together. And Guts, I think, has this moment of dialogue where he's like, you know, I've always been used to surviving, but I've never felt this much pressure to live. Which, again, I mean, someone that needs to be on the side of a building, on a statue or something.
Yeah.
And it was this moment where he's like, he's always had to get through the night, but never for anybody else, really. It was always for himself. And now he has this other person relying on him and what that's starting to do to him.
Yeah. And Casca had like one line where it was kind of like, oh, that's like her old personality. When like he almost hits her or something, she's like, hey, watch it. And I was like,
did she say anything?
There was a part where she said like one thing that was like,
I don't think so.
She goes,
Yeah, she only makes noises.
There was I remember a part where she says a line.
I'm not going to disagree, but I'm going to say I don't think so.
It might have been Puck.
It might have been Puck, because Puck's always floating around saying
and
stuff.
saying shit.
If his speech thing went right above where she was standing, then maybe.
Probably. And Puck's, you know, Puck's great.
Puck's just flying around.
I mean, Puck is just like,
talking
he gets funnier
shit.
and funnier.
Yeah.
I noticed that the art style is creeping away from him being like full-bodied realistic, and it's like as it goes on, it's more and more just the goofy drawing of him.
Cheesy.
Yeah. I feel like Puck is less. I don't remember in this entire arc Puck being drawn the way he was in the beginning.
Sexual is not the right word, but the way it was like full body and like
now it's like a little chibi onion head.
Yeah, onion head. Yeah. Like exactly.
Yeah.
He's just kind of there.
And I love it.
He looks like that.
And I love it. But here we go, Megan. This is where I think it begins.
Don't start.
I think it begins with, and I could be wrong about what I think you're reacting to, but this is when the beast starts to talk to Guts.
Oh yeah, when he starts to
the wolf spirit.
I mean, this is what sets everything kind of in motion. This event, unless we're talking about something
no, we're
different.
not talking. It's just I just want to, before we go into this beast category, I just want to talk more about like Casca and Guts. Like,
oh, she wants to set it up.
No, because it's so like sad. Like he's just like, you know, like cleaning her up, and he's like, you need to do this, and she's just like looking at him with like vacant eyes. She doesn't know who he is. He knows like everything about her. That flashback to her on the horse, strong Casca. I miss her. And I know how much he misses her too. And you could just feel that. Like, oh, it's so emotional. It makes me so sad.
Yeah, he misses somebody that's, you know, kind of right in front of him, but also not.
Also not.
No, we've all been there.
But the fact that, you know, again, going back to the Griffith thing, like, she had a huge emotional connection, obviously before Guts was involved, when she was still herself. But even after, when she's not herself, when he's holding her and she starts crying because she like knows who he is, like Guts felt that. Like I felt that. Like, oh my God, how horrible. You're like helping her every day, and then just this fucking femto ass pigeon bitch.
Yeah. And it only
comes in.
It only makes everything that happens after.
It's okay. Continue this wolf thing. What's going on?
He's like a little dog. He's a cute little dog.
He's a fucking bitch ass. He's a literal bitch.
But I think that's a part of Guts. Or is it, do you guys think, is it a part of Guts that's manifesting into this thing? Or do you think it's an actual demonic sort of otherworldly entity?
I think it's a result of the brand and his own mentality, like creating this entity. I think it's like all his rage is like going inside, like all the things he represses is going inside this, and because of the brand, it's like channeling it. And then it's manifest. I think that everything the wolf says are thoughts that he has.
Yes, what I mean. Do you think it's embodying it, or do you think I think that is an embodiment of his rage?
I think that because I think it's becoming an actual entity.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And like right now, it's like in his like nightmares, but like also like he is like bound to the spirit world. So I think he's creating this being of like he represses all his thoughts and anger, and then it when you do that, it like gets concentrated and like whispers back,
and it starts to whisper things about Casca and Guts's true feelings about her, how she's a burden and how she's a sacrifice and how she's a constant like reminder that he only, I guess, like part of it is that he only needs her as a reminder to she's only fuel for his sort of like rage and his vengeance.
Rage to get Griffith. Yeah. And
she's ultimately just a sacrifice, and she should be treated as such, which means, being either killed, being either, taken advantage of.
The reason I think this related to the brand thing, if it's like drawing him to, attacking someone he loves, where that's like one of the conditions of like sacrificing.
But he's so angry, he's so angry. And I could be like way off base with this, and I have no experience to even really like have a really educated opinion on any of this.
I mean, a wolf spirit did possess you last week.
That was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was a fox spirit, so I really don't feel like I can really talk about it.
I got them mixed up.
No, but like I don't mean to get too dark or too real, but I imagine in some ways, and I don't mean the violent side of it, but I just mean the emotional like confusion that I can only imagine, and my heart goes out to anybody who's ever had to deal with anything like this. But I mean, like any victim of like sexual assault, right? That like has a child. That child is someone that they I mean, if they choose to have that child, their body, their choice, obviously, but just that like with like I can't really speak on it, but just the idea of I saw a movie called Room where this kind of happened. There was a character who was a victim of sexual assault and chose to have the child, and her parents always saw that child as a reminder of this, of their daughter being like hurt and their daughter being like taken advantage of, which is not fair to that child, which is not fair to her if she's chosen to have that child and love that child. So I think like in a way, there are some like similar emotions. I could be way off base with that, but I just mean like the sense of like, this is someone who was taken advantage of, who was hurt. He's so confused. She is just like a reminder of Griffith. And also like, he can't get the things that happened to her out of his head. It makes him, and almost feels like part of him is like mad at her for that.
Well, yeah. And I think the wolf spirit kind of like brings it up where it's like, I mean, she doesn't flinch away from Griffith, but she flinches away from you.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just like, that's probably really getting to him. And he's like, who does he talk to about that?
He can't talk to anybody. And to be so mad that even some of it is shifting towards Casca. Like, I don't blame Guts at all. If anything, it's what makes him even more human in a lot of ways, because he has nowhere to put this.
Yeah, I mean, he can't talk to her about it. It's not like she's able to like have.
Incapable
it's not like it's a conversation that they could have. Like,
which is maybe another layer.
It is. Like, that's why he said before the event, he goes, I just wish I could have a connection, because now at this point they're like, he wants to. Is that this point where she's already like tied up because she keeps like running away?
No, that's yet. Post him waking up from his dream.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, I wish I could make a connection with her, and I was like, oh man, and then I just like go to the next volume.
Yeah.
Or the next chapter, and
yeah, because he's having the wolf spirit's doing the dreams, and it's like it starts biting
her neck,
and then you're like, oh, that's like a vision, and then he wakes up,
and then it's like licking her too and stuff.
Yeah. But he also bit her.
No, it's him.
Yeah. But I mean, what he does later is I think for him too, I think the final nail in the coffin where he's like, I can't be around. I don't trust myself. That was the final straw for him to be like, I don't trust myself. But we'll get to that.
The very desperate moment on his end too, because it really felt where he was like, this has to work. Something has to like make this stop happening.
Yeah, because I don't know what else to do. I literally can't do anything else. But yeah, so the dream happens. He wakes up. Then they go into they're having their next battle. And then during that next battle is where the beast sort of talks to him again. And he snaps out of it and he's like choking her. And that's where that's when she starts to distrust him again.
Yeah.
Guts truly goes nuts.
And he does. And then he was like, was that me or was that the demon or whatever? Was that the sacrifice? And then Puck's just like, you fucked it up again. She was trusting you and now that's kind of gone again.
But Puck actually is sympathetic towards Guts and says like, come on, man, like don't beat yourself up about it. Those were the demons because obviously Puck doesn't know anything about the beast.
Yeah.
So Puck was like, that was the demons possessing you to do that. I mean, it sucks that she doesn't get that, but I mean, it wasn't you, right? And Guts isn't gonna tell Puck the truth.
He's like, no, it was me.
He's like, no, I've actually been seeing this dog in my dreams, and
I've been doing a lot of dog dreams lately.
Yeah. Oh my god. Sorry, I freaked out. I felt something under my hand move right now. Anyway, yeah. So Casca has to be tied up and walked around, and now because she's a danger to herself, and she's lost all trust for Guts. But Guts, it's the only thing he can do at this point to keep her safe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really no other option for them, which is sad to see that happen because that's when there's that scene with them under the bridge.
Yeah.
And he's like, basically she's so close, but she's so far.
Yeah, literally she tries to like get his knife to like stab him or kill him. And then he like pushes her away. And then she's just like, he's like, damn.
And then we get to Casca and the men.
Which for a second, I was honestly like, I thought they weren't going to try something, and I was like really looking forward to that happening because like one of them like objects to it. I'm like, oh, is it not gonna happen this time?
Well, you know what it is? It's always the damn guys with the fucking crooked ass eyes, dude. They always look the same. Mm-hmm. They're always little hunchbacks with crooked eyes and buck teeth, and they're just always like, there's always one of them in every group that's just a little horn dog.
Yeah. Which I like, because at first, like, they're like, what are we going to do? We're robbing. And then it shows that Casca just wandering and started eating their food. Like, hey, that's my jerky. And I was like, okay, reasonable reaction.
Yeah.
They're upset.
Reasonable.
I'd be upset too.
The jerky.
I'd be upset too. There's a famine.
One guy suggests like, oh, we should rob her. And they go, we can't do that. It's probably a nun. I'm like, cool. Is it going to be is it not?
Oh no, she's a pilgrim. Yeah.
It's a pilgrim. We can't rob pilgrims. That's wrong. Yeah. I'm like, oh, cool. There's like
and then, it's how easy or how quick they were to switch. Because you're right. He's like, she's a pilgrim. Whoa. We can't. Our religious law says that we have to like protect pilgrims. And then it just takes one cockeyed bastard to go. All he has to say is like, but what if this is a gift from God?
What?
And then everybody is like,
yeah, you know what? You're right. You're actually right, dude.
I didn't think about it like that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Oh my God
would do some shit like that, huh?
Yeah. Just reading that, you're like, no! Yeah. You were right there. You almost didn't do this.
And of course, what unfortunately happens to Casca more than I'd like to see it happen to her.
It's insane at this point.
It's ridiculous.
It's kind of ridiculous. If it happens one more time, no.
If it happens, yeah. I mean, I feel like it kind of already. I don't think it did yet, but
yeah, she does get her moment though.
She finally, which is awesome. And you guys tell me what you think is happening here, right? Because what ends up happening is, they take it pretty far. And it is almost
to the point where I'm not even clear if it happened or not.
No, I know.
Yep.
I know.
It's very ambiguous when Guts finds her sort of what exactly happened before she kind of overtook them. But she does have a vision. It seems to be her vision of what happened during the eclipse. Mm-hmm. And then when she kind of comes to, or when Guts finds her, she has a sword, but she's naked, covered in blood, and they're all laying dead around her. Do you think that was something being awoken in her? Do you think that was subconscious, conscious? Do you think she was aware of what she was doing?
I think she was put in like a maybe a fugue state or some like mental state where that reduced her to that. And I think that like if magic wasn't involved, it would be kind of messed up to like have it be like the cure But like because magic's involved, I think like there is like there's something that like she may be like stuck in that state that she was in during the eclipse.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she's tried to she's like tried to like grab like Guts' dagger and she's like pushed him away. But other than that, she like doesn't do she's the only aggressive towards Guts.
Yeah.
Until this moment.
Yeah, what if, dude, she's kind of under some spell, right?
Which is what I was, especially as like Griffith's glamour becomes more and more clear.
Yeah, and the whole like maybe the big reveal is going to be that like she has this whole time she has seen like we see her look at Guts through her eyes and it's a monster
Griffith.
or it's Griffith. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
That'd be a cool twist. Yeah,
it's heartbreaking though.
But I think that because magic's involved, I do think that like that. Occurring either almost or actually, I don't know.
That would be heartbreaking at the same time.
Yeah. If like, cause that like, she like is like one of the most skilled fighters in the world. So she does like kill them easily, which is why it's like, I don't know how far they got.
But what a roller coaster this was next. First of all, you know, she's covered in blood, whether from the attack or from other things, because, you know, there are panels that are focused on specific areas. Guts sees this. And at first, and Megan, I'll let you take over.
I don't want to take over. I don't want to take over. I really don't want to take over.
But at first, even though it wasn't appropriate what Guts did in the beginning, there was a moment for me where I felt like, I mean, you know, he's been so conflicted this whole time. He's longed for this person for so long. Like at first I thought it was just a kiss. I thought it was just going to be that. I thought that was going to be him losing. I thought that was going to be the extent of the control that he lost.
No, I knew. I didn't know, but his face and the visions that he's been seeing, I knew it wasn't going to be good. I knew it wasn't going to be good at all. I knew I didn't want to know. I don't want. I was like, no fucking way. I was shook out of my mind. I'm still devastated. I'm still like hurting. It's insane.
Because
it's
however, you know, I mean, obviously whatever state of mind she was in, I mean, all of it. I mean, she did not want any of what was happening to be happening. And Guts kind of just keeps going, which is big yikes. It's
like so horrible.
You're like, oh, this is a very sad, desperate, just gross moment happening for these characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very gross, and I don't mean to like, in the context of the story, like it's heartbreaking because you're seeing like this character just sort of just like lose himself completely.
He loses it, and then he not reverts, but like people that were abused sexually sometimes do it again. And this is the fucking prime example of that. Like the thing he thought like he never do, like could never bring himself to do to the person he loves the most. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you joking?
To the point where it got, you know, I mean, very sexual, but also like a little violent even.
Towards a little violent.
Well, I mean, it was violent the whole time, but I mean, to the point where he was like, you know, he drew blood and was like, you know, I mean, he was holding her down and it was like, it was awful. It was awful to read. It was awful to see. But when he finally like does the thing that kind of snaps him out of it, when he like bites her fucking, you know, I guess nipple so hard.
Yeah.
That she's just like starting to bleed and has teeth marks.
In his mind, he was literally ripping her to pieces.
Yeah. And the beast to say like, do what Griffith did to her.
Yeah.
You know.
Tearing off her head. To see Casca like that, like,
it's crazy.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. I didn't like it one bit.
I know. I told you guys. I was like, I'm broken. I am a shell of a woman. I can't do this right now. Like, are you kidding? Oh my God.
Definitely the emotional like peak and valley of the whole, these whole 3 volumes.
What is this? What is life? What is Mira? What did you do?
I love that it gets probably the biggest mood shifts
I've
just
gonna
felt
say that,
in my entire life.
Thank God.
Like reading that and just being like, oh God, this is an awful situation. That 2 broken people on this road and then just And by the way,
cut to Isidro like with the music. Yeah. Yeah, and he's running. Crazy shift, but also like sort of needed in a sense. Like that was so heavy.
Because
I'm never gonna forget. I can't. Either. I literally can't. I can't.
I feel like that was sort of the end of like the Guts or the Berserk story that I'm like familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Because after this, it goes into a different kind of a different direction, at like even like tonally, that I was having a lot of fun with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's just like it is, and it was just a hard shift because a lot of it's always like, oh, Guts is always alone. I would work with no one, and then and I like that all this builds up to him finally being like, okay, there needs to be other people here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then how that it's just okay, and then here's the hey, get back here, you punk kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was crazy too, because, we haven't seen Isidro in a long time. He's stolen Serpico and Farnese's food. So they all kind of come together and they all kind of meet up and are reunited. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, that's when, like you said, like Farnese pledges her allegiance to Guts. And Serpico's not thrilled about it, but also just,
I think they've abandoned their traitors now and they can't go back. And
yeah.
That was the thing. She's like, oh, what can I shoot to prove my loyalty? I'll cut my hair. And then she just looks fantastic. It's like, I don't think you sacrificed anything.
It's like she went Bob.
Yeah. It's like a trendy, like perfectly angled. It's like,
yeah, there's no way she did. If she did that in buns,
yeah,
it would have been hacky.
We should film a video of somebody doing that.
Hacky.
You should show someone like, and then they have bangs, right? And then they just cut off their bangs completely. It's like, you want to see how committed I am?
Dude, that'd be crazy.
We should try it with a wig just to see how it would look.
Yeah, like, look awful.
Just to see how it would look in the real world, because I'll bet it would look like a disaster.
Yeah.
But anyway,
apparently swords are the best haircut.
They're sharp.
They're sharp. That's true.
It like gives it a feathered, textured feel to it.
Yeah. But she pledges her allegiance to him, and Guts basically, it's out of character for him, but he allows them to all sort of join him because at this point he doesn't know what else to do. He's at the end of his rope.
I can't trust myself alone with her now.
Yeah, even Puck says like he does so out of character.
Yeah,
he's like, why is he letting him?
And this way,
join?
Farnese can kind of put some distance between the two of them.
Yeah,
and he can
much needed.
Yeah,
distance.
Much needed. Yeah. And then we kind of cut to, before we get back to them, we cut to young Lord Mule, the young
who I
kid.
really liked.
Mm-hmm.
I did too.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be the snobby aristocrat who's been put in charge, but he's like pretty reasonable and he like has tactics.
Yeah. And
honor.
Yeah. Honor. And it's just funny to see Griffith continue to have this type of relationship with people.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have the new girl, it's like the new Casca. We have this guy who's like the new Guts, not like Guts, but like just the dynamic that he has with people and the power that he holds.
Oh, you think so? Like Zod is more like a Guts, and you think like
yeah. I mean, no, he loved Guts. Let's not get it twisted.
But
I think as far as being like the heavy melee fighters,
that's
where
he
fits in the dynamic.
Yeah,
because I'm assuming someone in this team is going to figure out how to fire arrows really good because they have an evil archer.
Mm.
Well, do they have the evil archer? That's Irvine or whatever. Yeah,
which is one of those things where it's like, because some names they keep going into modern times and some names drop off. So like Irvine it's Irvin. It's just so weird how like that name that survived, and then you have like.
Well, where we live, there's a city called Irvine.
SoCal.
Yeah.
SoCal's where you at.
And you see him like, and I really like the like, we have to attack, like they've captured like civilians, we need to rescue them. Like, oh, this is like nice. And then, this is where like the moral dilemma that I'm seeing comes up, which I think is really interesting, which is Griffith is saving people.
Yeah, but
for like
He's
that's the moral dilemma right now is like, okay, he has sacrificed 200 people. If he saves 500, does that justify?
It's the sort of the Osmondius thing.
I am interested because, we see that scene with, the campsite and, everyone's peaceful. And then we see him on the mountain or whatever with like all the souls.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, he's setting free the souls of the ones lost. And I'm like, yeah, those are going right into the God hand shit. Yeah, they're eating them.
They're going to hell.
They're going to hell.
Or they're going to some realm.
They're going to hell.
Of if whatever hell is in that world.
Yeah.
Because Griffith danced around that too much.
Yeah.
Because when they get there, the Lord Mule says like, where are they going?
Mhm.
And he's like, you will find out one day.
Yeah,
and he's like,
do the
and then he goes,
Griffith
he doubles
voice.
down. He's like, are they going to heaven? And he's like, we'll all find out. So, and it's
Will
like,
we find out they're going to
okay.
heaven?
Yeah,
Our
he's like,
dreams
he's like,
are but
when we die, who knows? You
Is
know?
it heaven or hell? Because there's two things.
What is life? What is death? Who are we? What
They're
are
dead.
you?
Are they going to heaven?
is
Yeah,
my
that whole-
mommy going to heaven?
Yeah.
Aren't we all just dreams?
We're all but drifters on the dream of the roads.
What
of-
if this is hell?
Get the kid out of here.
Yeah, get the kid out. He's on to us. But yeah, and
we
you're
all
right.
dreams.
But see, so I do get what you're saying, but I do think, Megan, you're right. I do think that these really are, he's not necessarily killing them, but they are dying in battle, and then wherever they are going, there is either hell or the God Hand is feeding on them. But the God Hand is also serving something as well.
I know, and then we got a little hint of that.
Yeah.
A little.
So
Yeah.
I think you're both kind of right. But we do get to see like him and his army come in again, and now we get to meet the bow and arrow guy, who might be my favorite guy ever. He's got an eyeball on his bow, like
Knee-high
Yeah,
boots.
cool.
knee-high boots. He's shooting 6 arrows at a time. This guy's the tits. Then we see Zod again, like double wielding, slicing through people in battle on horseback. Just the coolest thing ever.
This is where, and you see how like this is all for show too, because
Yeah, it's very
Griffith
theatrical.
Wade, he has the power of like God,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he's like, it is interesting that he's kind of like limiting what he does.
Yeah.
So, but he's like,
not to scare people.
It's
he
a
waits.
performance,
Yeah,
yeah.
he waits to kill the leader, even though he could have killed everyone. But he wants people to see him do that. And then this is where you see like when people run away, he's like, "Oh, leave them.
He's-
We don't care." And then
yeah,
the
yeah.
monsters come and kill.
Yeah, he's still abiding by like the code of like a good warrior or
Mhm.
like a person of goodwill, like a good-willed warrior, when like he's not that at all. Like he's
No.
just trying to get his way, but he's just showing everyone like, I still abide by the rules of my heart.
Mhm.
And it's
What's
like,
interesting,
bruh.
though-
Doth dreams
Doth
we seek.
dreams.
What's interesting though is that we're let in again. We meet the medium, the young medium again.
I am
and-
scared for her.
and I'm scared for her too. But what's interesting?
that
I know
smile she
something
gives.
bad is going to happen to
Yeah.
I
that
really
girl.
thought it was going to be a repeat of that scene where they're like, "Oh yeah, why don't you come with me to like the hangout?" And then it's like that cult orgy.
Oh yeah.
It's back again.
Well, yeah, because that happens, right? Obviously,
speak too
they're
soon.
they're victorious in battle, so they go back to the camp, and young Lord Mule or whatever, he's like pissed about there being cushions who are like let into the army and then are allowed to rise in ranks, and then Locust tells him like the cushions aren't who you should be worried about. The cushions are more like us than anybody. Like you are going to see some other shit. Like they are the least of your worries.
Yeah, and it was like a really, you see him like going through the game, it's like, oh, this is like so peaceful and calm, and they're like reasonably like, well, we do capture them, and they're put into like the highest risk situation, like in the battle.
Three
If
battles,
they survive
yeah.
3 times, then they've done their penance to us, and then they can join, and they are allowed to lead like other groups, but it's like so reasonable what they do, and they're always just like, and that's so you should, and
Yeah.
don't if you can't handle that,
Yeah.
Get out of the.
you're not going to be able to
kitschy.
handle the other thing.
Which is crazy, and that's what I wanted to say about how you said that they, Griffith is very careful about who he maybe reveals these war demons to. But as I wrote down her name, but I forgot it at the moment. But the medium
Sonia.
girl, Sonia,
Mhm.
when she takes Mule through the
Yeah,
through
I
the
was like, do
woods.
not follow her into the dark woods, man.
yeah, dude, and then she's aware. She's like, yeah, they're called war demons, and he's like, what? I mean, he's a little like thrown off, but he's also like, okay, all right. But it's just their readiness, I guess, to accept them as being helpful instead of being, I don't know, monsters.
Yeah,
Well,
literally monsters.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like a lot of people have never seen actual monsters. Like they
Mm.
just came into being.
Yeah.
So if they're like, oh yeah, these are monsters that work for us, and that's their first introduction to them,
Oh,
which I
okay.
think that's like what she's like showing is like a kid
Yeah.
would be like, oh yeah, like they'll threaten you, but they're not actually going to do anything.
Yeah. And yeah, they don't like, I don't want to be rude. I just assume that they'd look different, And she's like, well, this is what they look like.
Yeah, which I do think.
What are they
Griffith-
supposed to look
Yeah.
like?
I think Griffith is cuting them up. I think he's using his power to like put a little
I
glamour
mean, they
on
look
them
pretty
too.
fucking gross.
I think they would have looked grosser.
Really?
I think they like how
Ah.
Zod is getting like he's getting long glowing like locks.
Yeah.
I think they're all getting like cutified.
Makeover.
Yeah.
Cutified.
Cutified. when there's a little moment where they like are gonna eat them, and then the other Grunbeld comes through, and there's even a little thing thrown around about him where Grunbeld, the dragon armored giant. There's even a moment where Mule says like, oh yeah, I know him. I know a lot of these guys. I've heard legends of a lot of these guys. And he's like, I could have sworn I heard that Grunbeld died in battle. And it kind of a little bit reminds me of. It kind of a little teeny bit reminds me of like JoJo and like Dio, like reviving those old knights from legends and stuff like that. It does seem like Griffith is just like reviving these legendary heroes.
Maybe and corrupting them, maybe.
Yeah. And corrupting them.
I was like, oh, that's the legendary archer. I'll bring him back, make him loyal to me.
Yeah.
Give him like a power up.
Yeah.
Which is probably why he like made it if he summoned them, it would make sense that he like had them all come in when he's like when everyone can see him in public. So everyone's like, oh, and then the hero joined when Rowdy's probably just like summoned
and
them
then
into existence.
Equip them with maybe some magic fetishes.
Yeah. There's interesting word choice.
I love it.
I guess that's what that used to mean.
Cool.
Yeah, we should really get back to the root of that word.
Fetish?
Yeah, fetish. So anyway, they finally get through the forest and they see Griffith, and Griffith is like freaking Jesus, dude. He's sitting on a rock.
He really is in this. He just is Jesus now.
He is Jesus. He's a Jesus figure. He's sitting on the rock, surrounded by people. Spirits are dancing around him.
They're praying to him.
They're praying to him, to the spirits. A little girl and her mother is like, "Where's my dad? Where's my husband?" And then the spirits turns
such a show. That's not your hut. He's totally.
I mean, he might be.
If he is, that's where I'm seeing the thing of like,
is it
wrong? Going to become a thing of like, all right, Guts wants to kill him now, but now Griffith has done more good. Like by the time he meets up, it'll be like, oh yeah, he's like saved so many lives.
Well, I do think
for the sake of power.
It might become that thing of Guts ends up sort of in his quest for good, or in his quest for defeating Griffith, ends up doing more harm.
And if Griffith is propping himself up as the hero, will like Guts like start leaning into more of like, oh, he's like, people see him as the villain and people see Griffith as the.
Well, I mean, it's already set up perfectly. I mean, compare Griffith and his hawk, the hawk of light armor versus Guts and his like berserk armor. The one that everybody, I mean, got spoiled for me or whatever, and I think you saw it too, or you've seen it in video games or stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen it already too.
Yeah, it's like it's clear that like Guts is supposed to look like the evil, the darkness, the beast, and Griffith like the light, when in reality they're sort of the opposite. Or are they? I mean,
because now like Guts' motivation is just revenge. And if Griffith's thing is like, I want a kingdom now, and I'll be fair about it, it does become like,
I don't think he's gonna be fair.
I do think that what you were saying, I do think that the spirit might be actually the father, the husband. But I also think, like, what happened to our little guy, was Vargas? I think that's what's happening to them when they're, going up into the sky. So I do think that
Scooby-Doo style, Scooby-Doo, Skull Island,
Scooby-Doo, Spooky Island style.
Yeah, the Spooky Island arc.
Yeah, this was like crazy just to see him in like full Griffith in just like full, Jesus form.
Mule asked to join, and you get the nice scene of like the people who wanted to ambush.
Oh yeah.
Which I think that perfectly represents what Griffith is doing.
Yeah.
Where like they go to like shoot him, and then that weird mask guy is like, don't ruin the moment.
Don't ruin the moment.
And then we end that little story on Lord Mule and him saying like, I didn't feel like this was necessarily like destiny. I felt like it was something bigger. I feel like it was like the stuff of like legend or something. And then it cuts back to the Guts gang, and I think we're with them for a while. And this is where I mean, I'm like, dude, I'm loving every minute of this story.
Yeah.
But where it goes from here, I'm like, this story was written for me. I mean, everything about it.
Yeah, I wrote down at that exact, like when it cuts back to them, that's when I felt like I was in this story.
Yeah.
That's when I felt like I'm like, this is the actual story of Berserk.
Yeah.
And it's just so cute. I mean, it's lighthearted. This last volume was very just much like, this is so nice. I love the volumes that you just kind of are able to breathe a little bit and it's not so heavy, especially with Berserk, because we get the comedy, we get the lightheartedness. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was light in terms of like, bad things, bad situations happening to people. But as far as like learning things about the world of the characters. It was like dense.
Yeah.
But in a good way.
In a good way.
In mood, it was light.
Yeah,
in mood it was light, but in like,
it
was like full of information.
Nothing bad is happening. That's a good mood. Volume.
It is a thing
chapters.
of like, Casca's really on the border of me starting to get frustrated with her being in this state. Just because I'm like, I know like something has to happen.
I hope.
Yeah, I mean, she's just at a point where she's just like constantly, she seems like she's causing more and more trouble for everybody. And look, I'm not saying I don't, I mean, I obviously want her to snap out of it or to get help or to, shake off this thing. But, something, I believe something will happen to free her, but that could also just end up being this horrible thing. Anyway, Isidro's getting trained a little bit. Guts is like training him a little bit. And Isidro's very excited about it and also a little frustrated. He's trying to keep up with him. And we get a little more insight into like him running away from home and like him, later on using his wits to dual wield and to do things to get the upper hand in battle. Guts is telling him like, look, you got to train in the basics every day. I'll spar with you here and there, but it's up to you if you really want to get better. I got to deal with what I got to deal with. And they're all kind of just used to every night, like rallying together and fighting all these monsters off. And Isidro, I think, is like, at least in the pacing of the story, seems like he's getting pretty good pretty fast.
Yeah. Farnese is like becomes more of a burden than he does.
Yeah, definitely.
Like he's already starting to be like, no, that's not how you do that. And then like, that's like seeing like Farnese get frustrated with how like she's not good at gathering. She's not good at like maintenance. She can't even do that good of a job like protecting Casca.
No, she really can't. And she realizes that like pretty quickly because she's always been handed things for the most part. Even when we saw her with the holy chain knights, she really was just like a figurehead. Like she didn't do anything. Like when Guts went to go, he's like, "Where's the leader? I'm gonna fuck you up." She was like all scared and shit, Yeah.
That So like that's when I started to be like, I like just remembered everyone who said like I'm going to like Farnese by the end of Berserk and thinking of how wild of a statement that was. But that's when I was like, oh yeah, you're probably right.
Well, yeah, I mean, she does start to feel a little bit right here, a little bit. She starts to feel like the girl from the Conviction arc, the one that ran away with. Remember the one who was always like getting in danger and
she's always being
away.
saved. The one with the
one who ratted out Casca in the
she was from the orgy.
Chamber. Yeah, the one from the orgy.
Oh, I didn't get that vibe.
Just because like she was also the girl that was babysitting Casca for a long
time.
Oh,
as far as like the role.
Yeah, her role and kind of like being frustrated about not being able to really do anything of substance, I guess, adding anything to the group. But anyway, Farnese is worthless and a babysitter, and she's really taken down a peg. She's also like I think discovering herself or being the closest she's ever been to discovering herself outside of who she was within the Holy See organization or religion.
And the kid gets a really cool moment where he kind of like catches Guts off guard with like a combo move he had.
And Guts is like, yeah, I mean, I like you could have got me, but you kept kind of doing the same move over and over. And if you would have switched it up maybe one more time and aimed for garment because you can't cut through armor. I mean, he is teaching him.
Yeah.
And even I think Serpico looks at him and is like, that's pretty nice, dude. Like that was really nice.
He's starting to become like a dad to him. Like he doesn't want to be, and he's tried really hard not to feel that way about him. But even we get another like shot of him like watching over a conversation that happens with him and the old man that we meet. And he's just watching it, and he's just like, oh, he really looks up to you. And he's just like...
Yeah, he's like, shit.
He's like, shit, of course he does. I'm fucking the best.
But speaking of that, let's get closer to there, because I think what happens with that man and where they end up is like really the meat of this last volume. But they meet a guy who tells them about trolls that we're going to meet very soon.
Trolls. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong with trolls?
What's the first thing?
You saw that movie Trolls, the Pixar DreamWorks movie.
I like Trolls.
Must be talking about the very same trolls.
No, different ones.
Ugly ones.
Ugly ones, horrible ones, mean ones, disgusting.
Very disgusting.
More goblin-like than troll-like.
Yeah, that's a good word to describe them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who else is a little bit of a troll? Isidro. Because
I was honestly like kind of upset with him.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
I was like, what are you doing, man?
He's just Puck said it, teen angst.
Yeah, he comes across an apple merchant, and he like robs the apple merchant, and the apple merchant catches up to him and pretty much it says like, all right, look, kid, I get it. I know what it's like to be a kid out here struggling. Just take an apple, man. Feed yourself, you know? And his teacher like hugs him and then like puts his head into him and then uses his weight to slam him into the ground and to beat him repeatedly and steal all the apples from him.
Yeah.
Dude.
I was like, oh, I was really on board for you for a second, and now you kind of lost a couple points just now.
He's going through stuff.
But he's also stealing to feed the...
Yeah.
But it was just like, oh, the one reasonable person in the forest. They're like,
Yeah, I know.
there's been like 2 people that have been like, you know, there was like the person that offered Guts a ride in the Black Swordsman arc.
Yeah.
And then this apple merchant have been like every other people are like those bandits. It's always that. But that's what I was like, oh, this is why no one's nice in the forest.
And both of them did not have a happy ending.
Well, the apple merchant, I think, had a happier ending,
Happier, and
right?
he
He's
just
alive
got his
at all.
ass
He's
beat.
alive at all,
Yeah. And his daughter's alive, and
The apple merchant's daughter's alive?
no, it was a joke,
Presumably.
because the guy that gives a ride
yeah, they both died.
they both died really bad deaths.
Horrible deaths. But then we get this cool moment with Serpico and Guts picking firewood too. And Serpico telling Guts, like, I don't like that Farnese is out here with you doing all this shit, but she is learning and discovering herself, and it's what she wants to do, and I have like pledged my allegiance to her. So, but the moment if she gets hurt, because Guts is like, you brought me out here to duel, right? And he's like, no. I brought you out here
like, you hold grudges, we all do.
He wants to fight him again. I could see it because that was like he was excited with that.
Giving him
fight.
that eye.
Yeah.
It was an interesting.
He's got that dreamy eyes.
He's got that one eye.
Well, I mean, Serpico's got those dreamy eyes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was a nice little parallel, you know, in the Golden Age arc where he's like not used to like people being like just friendly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you see him again be like, so we're here to do this. Like, nah, I just wanted to talk.
No, we've been traveling for like a couple days, dude. I just want to have a conversation.
That's
with
what
you.
he told the guy who was telling them about the trolls in the first place. He was like, "Are you from Midland?" And he's like, "No, but I did like take advantage of their hospitality or something, you know."
Yeah, and it's like,
and you see his like, you just see the moment in Guts where he, you know, realizes that like that was a mistake to him, like.
Yeah.
Letting himself get that close to people. He was like, yeah, I made a mistake once and I allowed myself to. Yeah, it was like, oh God,
Guts.
It's a nice little thing though of like, yeah, if he was, there's probably a lot more like rage and angst if he wasn't surrounded by people. But now that he is, it does sort of like,
yeah.
You see how like, well, now he has to just talk things out.
He needs it. Like he was doing so good with the Band of the Hawk, and then it.
And how disrespectful! We forgot to say that Griffith is calling this new army the Band of the Hawk.
Oh yeah. She goes,
the new and improved,
the new Band of the Hawk, because you know
2.0.
Griffith
2.0.
And I love the rumors behind Griffith as well, because like no one knows what the fuck happened. They just go, oh, I heard he got arrested because he was doing shit with the princess. And I heard that he did get busted out by, the Band of the Hawk. And then they just disappeared. And everyone just thinks that. They don't know that he's just like this
of course.
Demonic. Isn't that so funny though?
Like, but what else would they think?
I don't know.
I think he made a pact with some sort of egg.
It's just crazy. The thing that you would not think about at all. You just think he's a man, but he's not a man anymore.
Well, yeah, but logically you'd think like that's that outsider looking in thing. Like he did get broken free, because he did.
Yeah.
I guess he spent 3 years recovering, and now he's back.
Yeah, he must have been like, getting his strength up and everything. Like no one in their wildest dreams.
I know. That's why it's crazy, because Guts was the only one in this group that witnessed that.
And
besides Casca.
They're the only surviving witness. So you think Griffith would, I guess the reason he didn't kill them then and there was because of Guts Jr. Because you would think he would kill them because they're the only people that can like challenge his reputation he's trying to build up.
But who would even believe that now?
That's why I think that it's a good thing that he's in there. I know it might, you say it might break your heart that he's attached to Griffith in some way, but I think that is the only way that that Guts and Casca are going to be able to survive. I think that's the only way they're going to be able to get the upper hand on
fighting
Griffith.
from the inside.
That is the only way that they're going to be able to do anything. And that's probably the only, way that's probably the best thing Guts Jr. could be doing.
Maybe it was all according to Guts Jr.'s plan.
Exactly.
Working from the inside. They got a man on the inside now.
A literal man on the inside.
Baby on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah, poor guy.
Junior.
So we get Farnese,
Junior.
Casca, and Isidro versus the trolls, and that's when, let's all try to say her name. That's when, go for it, Megan. I'll let you take the lead on this one.
I said it.
I'm going
Shirke.
Shirke.
I'm going with Shirky.
Shirky.
Okay.
Shirky.
I'm going with Shirke because I think that's how they said it in the anime.
Shirky.
And she comes in. You know, they're
Shirky.
attacked by trolls. Isidro or Farnese and Casca are, and Isidro has like is able to save them by like throwing rocks.
It's a nice little thing of like, oh, he has to like be good at that because he's like he's agile and small, so he's like he has good aim, which is why I think he's going to become an archer.
Me
of some
too.
Kind.
Yeah.
And also like I had fun with the Puck and Isidro combo.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they're the best. We kind of got that before when we were watching the orgy. You know, that was they're just a fun dynamic.
That was a weird sentence.
Huh.
Oh yeah, we kind of got their vibe before when we were watching that orgy. I don't think like remove yourself from Berserk. What a weird sentence that is.
Don't clip that.
But you're right.
Yeah, it was. They're always fun, and I forgot to mention we got like a cool. Was this before or after? Oh, not yet.
Yeah,
not
I
yet.
think this is where the trolls come in and take them, and we just get to see Isidro kind of like do something and actually like save them. And this isn't the first time he's done this.
No.
Like, he is not like a lot of other, apprentices or whatever. Like he actually has saved Casca multiple times. He's actually done important stuff, but here he is doing it again. The only thing is this time he can't really compete with the trolls and is about to be killed by one. And that's when Shirky.
Yeah. Let's all say our pronunciation whenever her name comes up.
Shirky shows up and saves them. She lays a circle in the ground, and I love seeing a witch, a magi, a mage, a magician, anything show up. And she's got little things in vials, and she's got little dust, and she's got things. It's like some sort of protection spell, and as the trolls come towards them, this like electric pentagram, this pentagram of electricity deflects the trolls
away. And the
away.
thing, don't break the seal. If you break the seal, it'll disrupt the spell.
Yeah, you'll be going pee all night.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah. But it's awesome. I love it. I love like magic systems and like exploring them, and every story putting their unique spin on it.
And we get another elf, which is really cool.
Yeah. I have her name written down too. We'll get to her when we get to her, but also because she has her moment with Puck too, and it's so funny. But she did another spell in that protection circle.
I remember she threw like berries at
the hair.
The hair.
Oh yeah, like
the hair.
I don't know if it was like razor wire. If it wasn't, someone needs to do something where she like poked out her hair, and like blew on it, and that was like her final attack move on them to chase them away.
What she says later on, I think at the spirit tree house or whatever, she says that that was basically the equivalent of like flaming arrows to these ethereal forms. But it's so badass.
Yeah, I like that because we just saw like Wukong, like
Wukong.
From Journey West, the Chinese like fable.
Oh yeah,
like his power was like he would like pluck at his hair and blow on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was a reference to that or that's just a cool idea they had.
Yeah, dude.
But there is something so cool about ripping hair out and like it turning into like razor wire bullet, like arrow fires of,
and the different uses of it too. What they end up using it for later, I thought was awesome and has some implications I think for Casca too. But so then after they've been saved. And by the way, Guts and Serpico aren't there.
They were talking, right?
Yeah, they were talking. And then they hear the screams, and they're kind of on their way, but they're far, I guess. And they've been saved, and the witch is like, okay, I'm going to go now. Leave me alone. And Isidro's like, get over here, you old hag. And he like trips.
The classic.
Yeah.
Classic
you can't
grab.
avoid the fall. To maintain balance, you got to
grab the boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But why does that surprise him? He's like, I knew you were a woman.
Yeah.
Well, no, he was surprised because he thought she was an old lady. And he even says, like, these aren't old lady boobs.
These are insane.
These are no boobs.
Have you ever touched old lady boobs?
No, dude. No, I haven't.
I'm just going to put this on the record.
Josh.
I guarantee you, if you were blindfolded and you grabbed a pair of like 24-year-old boobs versus
obviously they would be different.
Well, she's acting like they're not. She's acting like, well, how did he know?
But there's none to be had, so what is the difference?
Oh, she has boobs.
No, he says she doesn't.
Well, he says that she barely does. I read that very carefully.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you too?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Megan got to that part and was like, I know what I'm going to cosplay as. I have my Berserk cosplay.
Was that what really like made you want to really do it? Because you were on the fence about it. Was it that part that she is me?
I have found my spirit animal in Berserk.
Yeah.
It is Shrieky.
Yeah.
Shrieky! It is shrieky because I shriek.
Another, you know,
No, it wasn't that,
small
you guys.
queens.
I
Where my
like.
small queens at?
I like. Where are my small queens at? Holler at me.
Yeah.
I
But
just think she's cute.
she is cute.
Yeah, she's
And-
cute and has just a level of Meganness inherent to her.
She's nicer than me, I think.
No, I don't know what you think. There's this like version of yourself that I think where you think you're this like horribly mean person. She is so mean, and you are not her.
I feel like we're the same.
Yeah, you, her, and Garfield are all exactly the same.
We're not going to bring up the
When
Garfield thing yet.
Megan, Shirky, and Garfield walk into a bar, and
And the guy,
They
bartender's
order
like,
a drink.
bartender's
They
like,
order a
who's
drink.
who?
then they go, huh, and then we go, and then we all go, I hate Mondays.
No. Anyway,
You're going to cause me to snap if you keep bringing up Garfield.
Okay, well,
yeah,
I
you're
hope
not.
so.
You're also, you know, she's got way more tood than I think you do. Not saying you're incapable of tood. I just think that the majority of the time you're a very pleasant person to be around.
Too true. No.
Okay.
Fuck. Too sweet.
All right.
There we go. There we
Speaking
go.
of,
But
Speaking of,
she turns
Shirky.
Isidro into a monkey.
yeah.
Love that.
Love it.
Because he is.
He is.
Yeah,
He is a
I-
monkey.
I liked the little visual of her like with the little hypnotic like staff and it like
Yeah.
you see it like the shadow of it on his face
Mm-hmm.
and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, so that you can like, oh, the magic is like warping his mind. You get the nice like that there's a tool for that
Yeah.
specifically. She doesn't like it's not a staff and like, oh, sparks and then it does it. You can see like that means this happens. It's that type of spell.
I'd love to see that in the anime. I mean, I know they probably, you know, they're the only the what is it, 2016 version exists
Yeah.
for those scenes. But I mean, a lot of this stuff to see the magic and everything, like, man, I want to see it in action.
Yeah,
Even though
I
it
have
was
to-
really well displayed and drawn and executed in the
Yeah, I
manga.
have to watch. I want to watch it now that, I mean, we're catching up pretty quickly.
Mhm.
So I'll definitely probably check out the 2016 just because I want to see like these characters all together. Like I saw a clip of it and I was like, this doesn't look half bad.
Mhm.
Whatever, I'll check it out.
I mean, you gotta get, you know, like we said in that video, like pick and choose what you want to see.
Yeah.
Something also like in the story, it was like, oh, I played this level in Dragon's Dogma. Like once they like go to the witch's home, I'm like, oh, that's what that mission was. Like it was because like I know like so many things are based. So every time I like get farther into the story, I'm always like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what that enemy was. Like I have played this mission.
But speaking of that, thank you, Cody. We get this man from Enoch Village, which is another biblical reference. I don't know if you're familiar with the story of Enoch, but we don't have to talk about it now.
No.
Enoch,
Never heard
Enoch, knock, who's there? The ancestor.
let the devil in.
Oh.
Let the devil.
I was gonna say Enoch, the ancestor of Noah. Or he was like Noah's, you know, either
Didn't
grandfather
Noah have
or
a
like
bunch of
Noah, I never met her.
Noah. I barely met her.
barely
That's what-
met her.
yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's
you're
what you were
on
going for.
fire.
Do we want to like
That's
do the
what I
full?
was.
Let's
I
do the
didn't
full
get
knock
it.
knock. We'll do that.
Yeah. So Enoch, knock,
Who's there?
an ancestor of Noah.
Noah. I just
that's
met
your
her.
part. Fuck, that was your part. Sorry.
Well,
was your
we'll edit that.
Yeah, we'll edit. We'll fix it. in
We'll get
post.
some like zoom ins and
Yeah. But Enoch, just real quick. I mean, I don't know if this is going to have any like significant relevance to the story at all. But Enoch was an ancestor of Noah, and according to the Bible and the story of the Bible, he was the only person to go to heaven, but without dying. Like he never died. He got taken to heaven. He was like the only person, the only human that ever got taken to heaven. I think he like is on a chariot. You know, he's the only person to have ever not died.
That's what's up.
Sick, dude. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
That
Dude.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That
yeah,
Chariot,
rocks.
dude. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Fuck yeah, dude. Where's my cherry dog?
Maybe there's going to be some significance there. I don't know. Either way, they get to a house and this guy's looking for a witch that he saw when he was a kid. He's at this point now where he's convinced it's a dream, not a dream.
For a second, I was like, "Is this the elf kid from the?"
I know.
I keep waiting
He
to
did
find
run
out.
away.
Calf.
Peacock.
I keep
Peacock.
waiting for that character to come up. Like it was
Excuse
me,
you.
Peacock. I prefer.
I'll have the rice peacock,
Oh,
please.
I thought you were going to say, peak. You know, do you want your coffee?
Yeah, I was trying to. But I didn't know how to finish it, and
Yeah.
then she was going with the angle of peacock pie.
No,
she went
I
with
said
rice peacock.
rice peacock.
Like rice pilaf.
Like
What?
rice pilaf.
What's that?
Rice pilaf?
You never heard of rice pilaf?
Oh, it's delicious.
He says, "What's that?" It's so good. It's creamy rice.
It's delicious.
Oh well,
It's kind of like a risotto.
Sure.
Risotto, I hardly know.
Okay, we gotta get. This is the part where we're starting to unravel, and we gotta power through because
I'm not.
We're gonna be way over on time if we don't get.
Okay.
Hey, don't go berserk on us.
Because,
I know.
I'm just
oh
trying
my
to,
god! Don't flex some muscles, dude.
Hey,
Don't
dude,
flex them too
watch
hard,
out.
dude. Isn't
We
he
need to
wearing
get
it
through
again?
this.
And Cody's not even. He didn't even laugh this time, you
Well,
guys.
I know, dude. He's over it, and I get it.
It's kind of insane.
But anyway,
That's
back
just
on
the thing
track.
he wears sometimes, like in his room.
I do. I wear it all
yeah.
the time, and that's why he stopped laughing because he got used to me in it. And this is my real body. Anyway,
Yeah, you're gonna eventually sew it into your skin.
Jesus Christ.
yeah, maybe, or maybe I'm just like building up my body underneath. It's like a cocoon, and then when my body inside matches the body on the outside, that's when I'll shed it.
Oh, shed it. Ew.
That'd
I don't
be
like
fun.
shed.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
All right, the old man, the witch, she exists. They find it. Okay.
Yes.
They all casually walk through a barrier.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Shirke is like, how do they cross through the barrier? Does it have to do with something with the two people of the brand who have the brand? And she thinks that, she's aware of them and she knows that it has some sort of significance and doesn't know what that significance is, but they're able to cross through and they come to the house that's wrapped or growing from a tree or is
Which
a tree
is beautiful. Beautiful.
Very beautiful.
All of it's very mythical and magical.
Yes,
Mythical and
yes.
magical.
And they come across golems that are protecting the house.
Classic witch move.
What I liked
Yeah.
too is it does not look like they're even trying to fight.
No.
The gang. Like
No.
one of them literally hugs one of the guys.
Yeah.
So I like that. Yeah.
And I also like how she's just like, they look very accustomed to
Yeah.
this, and you just see them from like a bird's eye view, just Guts like killing these things,
Yeah.
and Isidro like doing the same. It's so funny because this is all they do. That's really like
All they do.
It's hilarious.
That's why it kind of felt like not entire, but it felt like all of that was to build up to this moment of like meeting to the witch and like seeing like from her perspective,
Yeah.
oh, they look really good at fighting. Like every night they had to fight demons, but
Yeah.
like seeing how they're fighting these things that you're kind of like, I think they weren't attacking you at all, and then but like seeing how they're like, oh, they keep regenerating. No, quick, there's a weakness. Like seeing how they very methodically know like
Yeah.
anytime there's a new threat. They attack, they gather themselves and be like, here's what we do. Here's how to take them down. They like take them all out. And it was like, yeah, they're built to do this.
And it was a cool way for her to see that, right? And they find out very quickly that it's these little totems or these little, miniature, figures that are in them. And once you take them out, they don't regenerate. And, she's all watching this happen and invites them in. So they get invited in and they meet the mistress of the house,
Which
Flora.
is maybe the first time I've ever felt hope. Like it just felt like such a hope moment in this series where you meet like the person who's like, and I'm gonna make everything better.
Yeah, I was like,
And you
please,
believe in her.
Casca, please,
Yeah.
Casca.
I believe
please,
in her.
Casca.
If you can work that into
if
your
you
sketch,
can just do that real quick for
Or
me, girl,
I believe
will love
in
you.
just because the existence of this character, I believe in there being, like you said, Cody, hope or a solution or some way around
Yes.
it. I didn't even know that this was an option. And now, and I'm like, oh, there's talisman now. And
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
there's other powers that can be manipulated to sort of like weaken the effects of the brand. Cool.
such a video game plot, which is like, if you do this, if you complete this objective of taking care of the trolls are attacking the village. If you eradicate them, we'll give you a talisman and that'll help you on your journey.
And the talisman won't last forever, by the way, because that would be very inconvenient for the story.
Yeah, so it's like, it'll make things better,
Yes.
but then something else will happen.
Only long enough for you to make it to the village,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how we keep it moving.
That's how we do things around here.
Yeah.
And the scene of I mean, like, oh yeah, you can stay here over the night. Like the demons can't get in, so you're
Yeah.
fine. Like it was just nice. It was like, oh, this is like the first full night's sleep I think Guts will ever have in his
Ever.
entire life.
I know, and they get to like have a bath and like relax, and fucking Isidro's bitch ass is
Yeah, little
like
perv,
a
yeah.
child's privilege and is trying to get in there.
It really is a
And
child's
then-
privilege, yeah.
No one.
We're gonna move on.
Okay. And she like it's just so fun. It's just so nice that they get a little break, and that's when Guts has his conversation with Flora.
Well, before that, too, when they get in there, she says that she's been waiting for them a long time. And she
Oh,
says
yeah.
that someone told them that they would be coming. And we do find out, I'm not going to say who yet, but we do find out who that someone is.
Which I had a theory. It was either like this is either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
I was like, at one point, I was like, oh no, don't. It's gonna be Griffith. I was like, and you're gonna take them in. I'm like,
I kind of had a feeling it was going to be good.
yeah. It was like it just felt like it was such a weirdly nice moment that like you keep assuming something's gonna undercut
too good
it.
to be true.
Yeah.
But she says that, you know, she gives them a little prophecy. They of the brand guided by tiny wings. Someone's been telling them that they are telling her that they're going to be on their way to look out for them. And then the bath, all the stuff, the dinner, the explanation of the world. And this is the first time we get to find out like how this freaking world works. And we get like, for the first time, concrete evidence or a concrete explanation as to why these things are happening and how they're happening.
I like the explanation for the face eggs and like the thing of like they always end up where they're supposed to be because it's not really that object that's doing the magic. It's like a manifestation of the magic interfering in the world. So you don't get to activate it. It'll appear where it needs to be because it's just a projection of the magic itself.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a whole, you know, conversation about that. And I think I wrote down a little bit of like the actual, some of her specific words. And I guess if I find it, I'll recite it, but it's just like, I wanted to write down a lot of the exact words that she spoke because I mean, it was so, I don't know. I'm a sucker for the lingo. You know, I'm a sucker for the fantasy lingo, and you know, the tools of fate and all this stuff. I mean, nothing gets me going more than like, you know what I mean, some fantasy magic,
magic words.
Oh, words, yeah, dude.
I like any time you see a fantasy story tackle traditional things, like how are they going to explain fire spells? How are they going to explain this? Like you look forward to them doing it in a creative way.
Oh yeah. She said it's a the behelit is the key to a deep layer of the astral world, a spiritual object that governs human fate sent to the physical realm. I mean,
come on.
Horny. I'm hard as a baylet, dude.
Betchy?
I'm hard as Betchy.
Who loves cheese.
Who loves cheese?
And we did find that out, and that's canon.
You know what we did find out?
What?
That the God Hand used to be humans.
Yeah, dude.
Insanity.
So they were all... someone who made like a deal.
Well, because let's just kind of real quick. I mean, I know this is going to be a long one. But I know it's already been kind of long, but I think it's important to really explain this and talk through this. But the way the world works is that, you know, and Cody help me out, Megan jump in. There are layers, right? There are layers, and they are in a layer of the astral world between the physical realm and the astral. Betwixt two worlds, similar to kind of what the Skull Knight had told Guts previously, that he will always sort of walk the line between both of these worlds. And that is where this first world that they are currently in, they are no longer in the physical world. They are in this realm of overlap, which is why the trees still look like trees, because they are mirroring the physical plane. However, the deeper into the layers you go, the farther you get from that reflection, and the crazier and the freakier and the weirder things get, because right now there's this perfect like marriage between the two worlds. And sometimes things can creep over more to one side or the other.
Yeah, that's why that treehouse, that's not even in the actual location.
That tree was there, but has been dead for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
It's like the eclipse like overshadowed two realms, and like beings like trolls, they were ethereal beings into the physical world. That's why they have magical weaknesses. And
that tree that existed in the physical world was a tree that was was a place that people went to worship and to give thanks to all the elementals and these other spiritual beings. That power that was given to that tree in the physical plane is sort of magnified in the ethereal, which is why that tree is so large and so powerful and so ever-growing in the ethereal, because of its power that it was given from the physical. It's been like doubled, and they say that it's stronger and it's longer lasting. And then that they're also, the deeper in you go, it talks about your astral form and how detached or how far one can go before they lose their ego, which is one's self, and into the realms of karma, right? Like dependent on they say that you're dictated to certain realms, like based on like your karma, your which kind of would mean like heaven and hell, right? How you were, how you lived will dictate sort of where you go, or can go, and then even further into the abyss and yada, yada, yada. But it's awesome. I love this shit, dude.
And
I live for it.
The reason they get to just walk through that barrier is because they're like, which what the Skull Knight said, he exists between two realms.
Mm-hmm.
So they can like easily go through things that someone who was like on one end couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. But I mean, I love when we talk about heaven and hell, and I love like in an interesting in a way that to me kind of would make sense, because I grew up in the church and everybody's always talking about, oh yeah, heaven is in the sky, heaven is in the clouds, hell is like underground, and it's like, bro, you're telling me these people can't get a little more creative than that? And here I am, reading Berserk, R.I.P. Kentaro Miura, and he's giving me like realms and basically sort of just like these windows into distant lands. Like, wow, dude, I love it. I'm in love.
Yeah,
you seem like it. Yeah. I mean, we all are in love.
Yeah, I think it's like I was not raised with as many religious hang-ups as you.
I wouldn't call them hang-ups, but
they're pretty big hang-ups.
I'm not hung up on them. I'm just passionate about them. Or not passionate about the religion, but I mean, I am just like, that's why I'm just so fascinated by fantasy. Because really, ultimately, Christianity in the Bible, fantasy. High fantasy.
High.
Someone was definitely high on something. I mean, sue me, dude. I mean, it feels good to finally get an explanation as to how all of this works.
No, yeah. I mean, this is the first time that and it feels just like so fitting. You're like, finally, someone who knows what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Who can explain it and has like, she is magical. So it would make sense for her to understand. And that's why I'm excited for this character to like grow with the group, because I think she's going to be a huge asset.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought you guys were going to be a little more passionate about all
Well, we had
stuff.
just nothing to jump in for.
Yeah, because
it was sort of just like, yeah, that also covers it.
It was your love
that also
letter.
covers it. That also covers
it. Was my love letter.
Yeah, it was. We felt the passion.
It was.
You gotta
of the Christ, passion of the Christ. Also, to the point of her being human too. Just I wrote this line down: the God hand were once human, yeah, but they're now executors of something lurking in the distant abyss. So it is just like that. That is a entity or a being or a something.
Mm-hmm.
That the God hand is not the end
Mm-hmm.
of this hierarchy,
which we kind of assumed that they've been.
Yeah.
Just because of what they've been doing.
Capable
and that's the thing
yeah.
with any world where like, like you see ghost stories, any horror story, it's always like, all right, so the demonic world exists, but then there's no like, what about the other side?
Yeah.
So I think you see the thing of like, well, people who like didn't want to gain all that power probably wouldn't be on the. If someone was like good, they wanted sacrifice to gain power so they could interfere with the physical world.
Yeah.
So it's like, where are the angels? Well, they're probably in heaven.
Yeah, they're probably just like so
chilling,
far away from all of this.
It wouldn't occur to them to like, oh, is there stuff? Well, who would even do anything?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm still kind of coming down from all that, but the mistress, the witch of the house, Flora, also, because Shirky also says that
Shirky,
yeah,
says that she's been told to go escort them, be with them on their troll hunt, and she's frustrated, she's upset, and she says this really cool line too, where she just basically says like, this is a man whose enemy is a transcendental entity beyond physical reasoning. And, when it's really contextualized, when it's really put into those words, you're like, oh my God. Yeah, like this whole time, this is what Guts has been up against. And he's also been up against fate. And she is basically telling, Flora is basically telling him, yeah, but that's the man who like kind of beat fate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's kind of, so far, he's kind of winning. I mean, if you really put a magnifying glass to it.
He's struggling against fate.
Yes. It's a better way to say it.
Yeah, I like also just the thing where like if you're gonna do exposition, I think having the apprentice who's like, because I like that she's like reciting all these, but you can like she's reciting the exposition because it's like she's also trying to prove to her master she like knows it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fun way of handling it, where the character's trying to prove that they know these things in the first place.
Yeah. It's like definitely a creative way to do it, and better than just like someone just saying it outright for no good reason at all. But I think now we get into the talisman, dude. And not the talisman, but there are, she equips him with a little talisman or some form of something that's going to weaken the brand. And then also the magic fetishes. And also the femme fatale ointment and stuff that they...
Yeah, the magic load up upgrade scene where I'm hearing rock music, I was really having fun with that whole story. Like, and this is a flaming dagger.
Yeah.
So you hear rock music, but I hear like You know, like
a flute.
Like no, I hear like war. I hear like war drums. You know, yeah.
Well, I have a
was
go-to song.
Are you singing the song from Aladdin? It sounded like
my go-to song is a bardcore version of a rock song for Berserk.
Bardcore.
Bardcore is where they do bard versions of.
So
it's like
Wow.
medieval versions of songs. I've made Josh listen to many of them.
Wow. I can hear like a nice like piano flute combo, like very.
Man, this thing
You
is really
just-
tearing me up. over here.
I'll bring it up anytime it comes to listen to the bardcore version of a Doom song. It's exactly Berserk.
And I think you have showed me a few bardcore songs, and you know they're not bad. They're not bad.
Yeah. It's definitely something you don't show everyone because you're like,
I mean, you gotta kind of love fantasy, but like the genre.
Oh.
And if you're really not into it, then you really ain't gonna be.
And
into
Like
it.
they
it's
bump
not a
it like
1
going
minute
to
song.
the Renaissance fair, like put
you
some
can bump it.
bardcore on.
You can bump
Yeah.
it on the way to the Renaissance Fair. You can bump it during a D&D game. You can bump it,
Yeah.
I'm sure, during like certain video game plays.
Cody's like, I bump it just on the way to work.
I just listen to it on
Yeah.
a loop. I'll just play it over and over. I'm like,
make my life more magical.
refining
Yeah.
the song in my refining
rewriting it.
Yeah, refining the movie in my head that I make to the music. You know,
Right. Yeah.
you find a song, you're like, oh, I like the movie that plays.
Oh yeah. I haven't done that in a while. I gotta start doing that again.
Should.
Dream to the another astral realm.
Let's talk about the magic fetishes, dude, because I got a fetish for magic. And
Oh.
these things are so cool, man. I've never seen magical weapons. I mean, I've played a lot of D&D. I've read a lot of fantasy. I've seen a lot of fantasy. I've never seen these like magical weapons used in this sort of way before. Basically, I guess just a real short version is that all of these sort of weapons, these fetishes are linked to what are they called? They are linked to the 4 states of the inherent physical world. So solid, liquid, vapor, and energy. And they're basically the small ethereal forms of these elements.
The
right?
sprites.
These sprites, yeah.
So
And
salamanders are connected to fire. I know that.
the sylphs
Dark Souls.
or sliffs. How do you say it?
Oh, salamanders?
No, the other one.
Oh,
The wind.
sprites.
But the sliffs.
Sliffs?
Yeah, the SLYPHS.
Slips?
Sliffs.
Slips.
Sliffs.
Slips?
Slips.
Sliffs of life?
Sliff of life. Sliff of
Slips are
life.
lives.
Slip?
But I mean,
Slip
have you
life.
never heard of like a
Slip.
slith scope?
A slight.
In Pokemon, there was a slith scope.
Oh, I'm not familiar with Pokemon.
Yeah.
I played like 2 levels. I'm like, this is.
Well, I've heard the word in other places outside of Pokemon. but I
Oh,
thought
that's why
that'd be the one.
Charmander's a fire elemental. Because salamanders are connected to fire.
Come on, dude, you're 20 years too late.
Everyone knew that?
Everyone knew that, man. Get it together.
Get it together.
We have a
Pokemon.
podcast we're doing here, man. We're doing a podcast.
I never really played Pokemon, so
I know.
I watched the show
And I came in a little too hot.
Mm.
We're talking about fire.
You charred him, dude.
I charred him, and that was my bad.
What's a sliff?
I mean, in this, it's
What's a sliff, dude?
in this, it is the sliff is sort of tied to the elemental form of like current or like wind or whatever.
Wind spirit.
There's another word for it, but this is the thing. It's called the sliff sword and the sliff hood that Serpico gets.
Mm.
Okay?
Oh, the feather thing.
Yeah.
It was a sliff's a feather.
No, but
The feather's
sure.
the sliff?
To keep it
The
moving,
feather sliff?
Yeah, dude. To keep it moving, yeah, dude. And
dude.
the thing about the way that these items work too is not only do they have to envision it, but they have to believe in it. And the more they believe and the more mutual respect they have for it. And I'm a sucker for that too, dude. It's like you gotta have mutual respect for your
true.
stuff.
It's a symbiotic relationship that
And I know
like
you
they're
love
going.
that.
Yes.
And I know you love that.
Love me a
I know you
symbiotic
love
relationship.
Yeah.
that.
I played
the whole thing about like you have to believe that you have to believe that they're gonna help you and then they're gonna learn to have faith in you. And
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
not a physical weapon so much as a channel that you're going to use to control these spirits. And the idea that like there's a reason that Serpico was given the air element and there's a reason that the kid was given fire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason Farnese was not given fire.
Oh,
It was like we're not gonna.
She's like, I know your past. I won't give you fire.
But they did get, iron chainmail shirts, and Farnese did get a dagger.
Yeah,
Or
silver.
a knife.
I thought it was silver.
Oh, silver.
Yeah,
silver,
they were all given magical gear, and I was like, wow, she's just giving these guys everything. So either she knows like how much is at stake, and you know there is a reason why she gave them all this equipment.
Yeah, and apparently silver is high in like talismanic energy or whatever.
Yeah, silver is always connected to magic for some reason.
Silver bullets.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. A little burp. Look, I could talk about magic systems. I could talk about weapons. I could talk about all this all day, and I kind of wanted to, but I'm just really not feeling like you guys want to dwell here for too long, and we've already been talking for a long time.
Based on me?
No, not based on you. Why do you feel so personally attacked?
I don't know. I didn't have anything to say about magic.
No, it's fine.
It's cool.
Okay. And that's all that matters.
No, I'm just reading a book now, Way of Kings, where they have a sprite for everything that happens. So people can see, like, if someone is sick, they can see rot sprites appear. And so they'll use a magic ointment to chase away rot sprites. Because instead of like curing the rot itself, they chase away the sprites of it. So if someone's hungry, like hunger sprites will appear around them. So like everyone is just like linked to that's what I was visualizing with these weapons.
Yeah, and it's just awesome that like the idea that these things exist all around us, right? But that these are the forms that they sort of take when they enter into the physical realm. Like these are the physical manifestations of these elemental beings, and how we perceive them through our physical form. I mean, all of that, breaking all that down. I mean, that's my bread and butter. You know, that's what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me out of bed. All right.
It's like the smell of coffee.
Yeah, that's why this was the funnest part of this arc for me. Because
that's what I've been saying the whole time.
We've been agreeing with you. That's the crazy part.
Passionately.
I mean, it's going to be hard to get me to sound passionate. It's going to take me a bit.
I need you to get riled up. I need to see a fire elemental in your chest.
I just had fun with it. You see,
I jacked off while I read it, dude.
Oh my God. That's not surprising.
Yeah.
You're Josh, dude.
Puck finds out he's an air elemental.
Oh yeah, and an ancestor of the Sliths. That was cool and funny.
And then how he
calling himself.
He changes his tune immediately, and he starts being like, "My brothers, my family, do not dishonor the air sprites."
Yeah. That was all cool. And that was a gear up scene, dude. It was a little similar. It had a Lord of the Rings vibe too, when they're all getting their weapons, and he's like, "And my axe," you know what I mean? Everybody's getting there. And
except he goes, "I don't want the axe."
Yeah, exactly. Gus is like, "Nah, get that axe out of my face."
I was like, "Ah, that looked like a cool axe. I bet it had some cool things to it."
He's like, "No."
But what's interesting is, do you think that Shirke's eyes on the blade were signifying that she sensed some sort of magical energy?
I think that sword is either bound to destiny, or the blacksmith did a little more than he told Guts about.
Good old Godo.
Good old Godo. Count on Godo.
You can always count on Godo.
Otherwise, I would have been like, someone else could take that axe.
Yeah.
It's true.
I bet that axe would have to, like, I don't know, cause earthquakes or something. Earth sprites.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, so basically, we get through their little power up scene where everybody's getting, weapons, and everybody's getting this explanation of how their weapons work. And then they set off into the town to village Enoch to take care of them trolls. And it's kind of funny because when they get there, they're immediately, it was so disrespectful how they came at my guy. He's in there and he's brought help. He's brought the witch that will save them. And then of course some dumbass pastor priest guy comes out and he's like, "Who's this little girl? She's not real. She's fake."
They do look very crazy.
Come on.
I like too that people would be like, we asked them for help. Just like background people were, that little touch of like, they didn't, like some people did, but like, we did ask exactly for this. And he's like, "And you're not going to help at all." I was like, well, that guy absolutely looks like, magic aside, he definitely can help us.
Yeah. We don't maybe trust him, but he's big, and he has a big sword. So maybe we should rely on him a bit.
Yeah, magic or no magic?
Magic or no magic. That's a big man.
It's a big boy.
And the mayor's like, "No, this is a test of faith, and we need to." And you're like, "All right, is that guy going to turn into a giant bug later?"
Oh yeah,
giant bug. He's gonna be like a troll.
Oh yeah.
One of the original trolls. He was trolling the village the whole time.
Oh,
well, yeah, they do say, the priests were the original trolls. Yeah, all priests.
Yeah, troll time.
Troll time. But yeah, so they get there and they just treat him. They do him dirty. And what's crazy is Guts comes up with a clever sort of lie, like Casca's still dressed like a pilgrim. They're supposed to help pilgrims. So he's like, all right, well, you got me. I got to help you guys out so you guys can stay for the night. And they do. And when they do, like Isidro has his moment that we kind of already talked about and with the guy and Guts is kind of overseeing that. And then Guts goes to the church and then he has that conversation with Shrike, whatever. Sorry guys. That's when we get that little insight into like how her mistress Flora was traveling the world, healing people and teaching people about magic and the astral plane and the spiritual world and all that, and how everybody was sort of kind of, into it and believed in it. And then all of a sudden the church came and the Holy See came and they slowly started to, brainwash, I guess, but also like indoctrinate like all these people. And they built their churches on these very spiritual
on rock and roll.
Yeah. Yeah. On rock and roll. Yeah. On rock and roll.
And rock
yeah.
and roll. I also like the little thing of Farnese when she meets the witches and, they're just like, no, you didn't burn any of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
Just a reminder that Farnese like, oh yeah, she did like just let awful things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you didn't even, and that is the thing, like, no, you didn't even get any of us either.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry about it. Jesus, you just killed innocent people then. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I forgot about that moment. That was pretty funny. Because she was just sitting there like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, just finding out that like,
and she knows
this goes against everything I was doing.
Yeah.
Because she was with the church that was against the witch. Like, and we used to protect the people in the land, and the church came and turned the people against Farnese. Like that. Yeah, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
Who would do such?
Ooh, man. And then they're like, oh, we could use our connection to the court to like. No. Remember, we betray them.
We can't.
Well, also too, just because we're just trying to get through this so fast, we forgot that as they're leaving, Guts sees that little shadowy figure in the window. How did we forget this? And then Flora goes to talk to the person.
This is what. Yeah, this is at like 1 a.m. I'm reading this. I'm like, okay, is this gonna be Griffith?
No.
And it's gonna be like, yes, and I tricked them to go along with your. And then
it's your boy.
I jumped up and I was like, yes! I was like so happy I got to see him before the arc ended. And
it's your boy.
Yeah.
It's your boy.
I just got so hyped. And then she's just like, yeah, I guess, you asked me to do this favor for them. Like, oh, that's why she gave him all that gear. Because he was like, you need to help them out. And like, you could do this yourself. He's like, I don't know. Like, even if I'm not the one who like causes them to this, he might be.
And we get concrete evidence here that he was human as well. I don't know if we ever had that, like we heavily speculated or heavily hinted at, but I don't know if it was ever outright said.
No, they really haven't. He hasn't said anything really about his past. We just know that he has like an elf type aura. Puck said he's kind of feels like an elf. That's all we really know about him.
Yeah, and now she says that she doesn't know if there's still like a human like heart underneath all that, what he's become. So it's like, I think that he's a human who like did a similar deal, but to transform himself into something that could fight the God Hand.
Yeah, or he's just become like he's ventured farther into some of those, because she was talking about how you have to abandon the physical form and to travel deeper into these realms. And she did say like you lose yourself, and maybe he is like one of the only people to have traveled so far into the abyss, and that is what maybe the abyss has sort of turned him into. And I don't know. There's so many things it could be.
Yeah, but he is their secret backer and helping them out,
and I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm really curious what the reason that he can't just join them is.
Yeah,
I'm sure there is one.
Yeah.
There has to be
Causality.
He's shy.
Reason. Or he's shy. It's either causality or he's shy.
Yeah. So two things. Take your
might
bets.
Might be both.
Oh yeah, it might be both, and it probably is.
Well, it's causing him to be shy.
You're making me shy, dude. You're making me blush.
Good. That was really good.
So yeah, everything, fast forward through everything we said about them getting to the town. Yes. The talk about the churches and coming in. And that's why, people are believing in these spiritual beings less and less and less. And that's why, at a point they were rarely, if ever, seen. And Isidro's like, well, then all we got to do is get everybody to just not believe in them. And she's like, well, that's not how that works because of the subconscious and all of that. And I love that little extra effort to explain why it wouldn't be that simple. And then they get this very interesting moment with Shurike.
Shurike.
The witch. Where she uses something called contagious magic, and she wraps her hair around their fingers as a way to communicate with them either telepathically or through sort of visual cues, which I think is what I said about Casca, how she'll be able to start maybe communicating now.
Yeah.
They'll actually be able to talk to her or communicate with her.
Oh, I hope
Maybe.
so. And this is where Asijo's getting like a little bitchy.
Being a little monkey.
Yeah, he's just like, you come in here and you're taking all the credit. You think you're the boss now. And blah, blah. And she's like, I mean, I'm well versed in this. And everyone's like, yeah, she is. And even Guts is like, yeah.
And especially as for like magic, like they're now a monster hunting team. And like loading up the fact that they're basically given like like earpieces. Like,
yeah.
I like that. I just like how like a geared up team they are now.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're all linked. And there's even that moment when the trolls do attack, and there's just like almost like a split sort of panel where it's all of them like not with their hands.
Yeah, but the vibe of putting your hand in your ear being like, trolls coming in.
Yeah.
Roger.
Incoming. We got trolls at the church, 7 o'clock.
What do you think everyone's like nickname would be?
Oh, I mean, that's a tough question.
That's a tough
That's
a tough question with a long answer.
That's a long discussion that does not go at the end.
We could have been on that subject for another hour.
I know.
Look forward to that next episode where we can each come up with our ideas. Maybe put your ideas down below.
Oh, give us some ideas.
Yeah, and we'll put together the best nicknames for them. I did like the idea of like, okay, like as far as them starting to build up to be a rivalry to Griffith's team, they do have now a telepathic communication just like he does.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So you start seeing like, okay, well, communication-wise, as a team, we're going to see them start building themselves up to her. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I haven't seen Serpico fight at all.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for this. He whips out the sword and he's like, I must channel and believe in it. And then the sprites appear. I'm like, yeah. And the volume ended. I was like.
And that's where we end.
That's where we end. I was like, I guess that's, I guess that.
What a place to end, dude.
I know.
In the middle of a swing.
I know.
Now we have to wait.
Yeah, real quick, we're going to be trying to be as brief as possible. That's where these volumes end. We've obviously had so much fun coming back and talking about this, because if we really wouldn't have powered through even towards the end there, we could have been talking about this for another 2 hours. It's just so refreshing to be able to come back and live in this world again. Real quick, brief as you can, but say what you want to say. What were your thoughts on this?
I mean, a lot's changed for me. I mean, not in a, I don't know how to feel. I feel a lot of things. This last couple of volumes made me feel a hope in some aspects, but just like total despair, especially for Guts. I really don't know if he can push through. I don't know if he's going to lose control. I don't know if he's going to go away from the group and leave Casca with the others, because I think that's what's kind of being hinted at. He can't be with her anymore, so he's trying to make them more powerful and make them be able to defend her. So he's just gonna kind of dip again, which I'm kind of like not hoping for. But if he has to do it in order to not hurt anyone else, maybe that's for the best, and him just go off and do his Griffith, business. But we'll see.
Cody, what about you?
I really like the direction the story is in right now. I really love that they're like a monster hunting team who's gonna like do like they like get into errands on their way to like this elf homeland road trip that isn't their end goal. But it is like, okay, maybe they're gonna go to that village and they're gonna have to go handle this and this. The team's gonna build up, and I like that. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, I assume Griffith's side is going to just be like seeing their like kingdom build up more and more, because it seems like their team's done, right? They don't have to build themselves up. Because I don't know, like he like revived those people with his power, but you're gonna see like you'd see more of what his like end goal is. Like, is he like selling souls, or is he like actually trying? I'm curious like how they're gonna handle what Griffith is doing with that power.
Yeah,
if they're gonna like put Guts into a moral dilemma of like, I mean, he is doing all these things that like are causing more good.
Yeah,
I like a villain that's like you are like, I guess if we kill you now, that doesn't make things better, does it?
Yeah. I'll say it, dude. Berserk is the greatest story ever told. It's the best story I've ever read. I mean, and this solidified it for me, dude. It's in my number one. It's staying there. The magical, the mystical, the fantastical, the ethereal, the realms, the spiritual, the cosmic. Even. I mean, this is This is everything I've ever wanted in a tale, a fantasy. It's continuing to blow me away and surprise me. Each volume feels like it gets better and better. Writing, art, is it poetry? Is it a painting? Is it even real, dude? How does this even exist? I'm in love with it. The mystery, everything that is unfolding before us. Where will it go? What will happen? Who will live? Who will die? Who will love? Who will lose? I mean, I can't with this. I can't. Let us do more of this. Let us finish this.
We're going
This
to.
arc has been one of my favorites so far. Never slowing its pace.
I know. I can't predict what's going to happen next.
I can't.
That's what I've loved about Berserk, is kind of just like,
I'm on the edge of my seat.
who knows?
But I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. We could talk about it for the rest of the night. But that's gonna have to do it for the rest of the episode. Thank you guys for sticking through another very long one. This is gonna be it for our review of volumes 22 through 24 of the Millenium Falcon Arc. Stay tuned either next week or the week after for the second half of this sub arc.
Yeah.
And if you have stuck all the way to the very end, thank you so much for doing that. But before we go, we have to shout out and thank our wonderful, beautiful, amazing strugglers, our Patreon members, every single one of you.
Carrying us aloft like wind sprites.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yes, dude. You are equipped to our weapons, our blades.
Get on our astral plane.
Yes, get on our astral plane.
Get on our ass.
Or get off my astral plane.
No,
get on.
Get on
Yeah,
it.
but there's a movie where they say get off my plane.
Oh.
It's a
I thought
movie
you were.
quote.
You know what? Your belief in us makes us stronger.
Yeah.
Just like the elementals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All of our new Patreon members, all of our OG Patreon members,
Um.
all of you, thank you all so much for your support. It means the world to us. We couldn't do all the things we do without you. Thank you. And if you would like to join the Patreon member, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/volume1pod to become a member, early access to our, Patreon exclusive bonus podcast, Volume 1 Extra. And shout out to everybody, no matter how you show your support, whether you're just part of the algorithm gang.
Gang.
Algorithm game. Megan, how do you feel about the algorithm game?
You can leave a comment and just say Algo Gang. I like Algo Gang, but you could say Algorithm Gang. You could say
you can comment
people say Cody Gang
a
too.
comma or something.
A number.
Number, anything really, and you're a part of the algorithm, and it boosts it pretty well, and that's how you show your support.
And thumbs up in the video too.
Yeah,
Because stuff as little as a thumbs up or liking someone else's comment, that you can consider that a tip, because that does boost us in the algorithm. So it's a free way to support on any level.
Yes.
So every little bit helps.
I love it when you say it like that.
Thank you. We're gonna find the perfect way to word that, but yeah,
No, you're getting closer every time, and that might have been it.
You can view it as a tip.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, and we love you all. And that's gonna do it for another episode of Volume 1. The
Megan,
only
hit him with a dice
thing we have to do now
Dice.
is get out of here on our outro that is always the same and never changes.
Queen.
Which today, of course, is going to be Megan, take us home. Give it to him.
Shriek for joy. Berserk is back. Shit.
I wasn't
so close, but yet so far, niece. No.
I like it. Not as an outro, but I really like it.
You have to consider, first of all, we say it every time. Second of all, it's until next time.
Yeah.
Until next time, don't puck around.
We used that.
Oh.
Did we?
We used a
version of puck.
That, yeah.
Until next time.
Well, think of new people that were introduced.
Yeah.
New situations.
Until next time.
Serpicolicious.
Serpico elementals.
Serpocalifragilistic.
We gotta jump to the next astral plane.
Love it.
We got an astral plane to catch.
Love it even more. Love it even more. Until next time. Megan, that's it, dude.
Oh.
But try.
I like your astral plane.
Okay, well,
we got an astral plane to catch?
Yeah.
All right, cool. It was good, just not as good as what Cody said. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And until next time, We got an astral plane to catch. I thought you were going to say you were halfway through.
You really did. I was about to.
That's how I was making eye contact with you.
And then I decided not to.
Because that's some shit she would do. She would, in the middle of our outfit, just switch to hers. And I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit in until next time.
I know. It's just funny.
Sort of thing.